You ever have friends who post Facebook photos of themselves with alcohol and then invite everyone to their 21st birthday on that same post?
No, because most of those people died before I got out of high school.
Yeah, well, yay. Hopefully that meant they didn't breed.
Oh, I mean, if they somehow bred from beyond the grave, I think I'd be impressed and slightly disgusted.
Alrighty tidy then, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, God.
Let's get into the high seas hijinks. See. Right. So, where are we? Right. Can everyone see
I
the
believe
characters?
we were just outside of port.
Yes. So I'll quickly do a run-up of what happened last time. So, last time on High Seas Hijinks, you guys had visited the Blackshore Isles with Captain Long Ben One Leg, and you fought the dread Captain Gutrot. And despite an overwhelming success, you suffered a tragic loss. Captain Long Ben One Leg is no more. He succumbed to the dreaded disease that Rotgut inflicts upon his servants to keep them in line. And he bestowed upon Beatrice the title of captain and gave her the deed to the Maraviglia and all that it entails back at Donnenberg. However, during your stop back to Donnenberg, you found out that Apothecary Green was being extorted by goods merchant Jarvis, and he seemed to own a monopoly on the town, as he's the only trader that can bring in items from other ports without too much difficulty. You then sailed off to Fort Costock under the mayor's guidance to see if you could find anything about the statuette that you had, or repair the ship, or find out what next, until you were suddenly curtailed by two ironclads, which have guided you to port. For now, you are at Fort Costock.
Just saying, Jack, I'm pretty sure we got the ship repaired at...
oh yeah, you did. Jeeves did that.
Yeah. The Tyrant.
He's not a tyrant, he's a gentleman of the law. So, you are now being guided by two ironclad ships. These great machines are hulking and spewing steam from their billows, and it's making the area almost hazy and foggy. It's almost as if they're creating a plume of smoke to cover up Fort Costock. But these two large ships are far superior to your own. They outmatch you in speed and power by several magnitudes, so it was a good idea to follow them and not cause any trouble. They've led you to Fort Costock, where you are currently residing in your ship while the papers are being processed.
We submitted papers?
Yes.
Yes, you submitted papers to one of the ironclads. They boarded and...
Did they at all explain why that they're escorting us into port?
Actually, I'll tell you in a moment.
Okay.
Just give me a second. There's couple of things that I forgot to add. Because I'm dumb and stupid and dumb. So if you could just... where is it there? So... one by one, a small file of soldiers enters the ship. These men are covered in the newer kind of metal, and they seem rather serious. You can barely see their eyes underneath the slits of their helmet as they've boarded the ship. You would know these as the soldiers of the Alliance, the Allegiance of Technology, and they seem very sensible. They're standing in very rigid order, and they have their guns holstered for now. As one of them clears their throat and steps forward. Well, you've all been escorted here today due to a sudden outbreak of fighting among the northern lines of the waters. General Castor has ordered me that you should be escorted in quietly. As he clears his throat and looks around at the ship. Where is the captain?
It's that one right there.
That would be I, Captain Ultra.
Listen.
Queek just gestures to her magnificent hat.
I tip it back a little.
The soldiers seem to mumble and mutter amongst themselves. We'll need to do a full inspection of the hull.
I know. Having a woman as a captain, one of these days come to. Ah.
They seem a little confused at the sentiment, but they clear their throats. We'll need to have a look at the hull to make sure you aren't bringing in any cargo that isn't allowed in these harbors.
Might I have a list of what cargo is not allowed or permissible?
There are certain items from the barbarians that we are no longer accepting, and some forms of food we have to deny because they have been poisoned. Not only that, we need you to hand over any and all residuum that you may or may not be carrying at this time. And at the same time, we also may need to escort any people that are undesirable or unwanted within Fort Costock to our ship for the time being.
Well, you can check what we have, but I'm sure you'll be sorely disappointed.
The Bone Man and the Rat Man look at each other, hoping that they're not undesirables.
What the hell is radium? Back in my day, it was just good, cold iron. Well, actually, no, it was bronze. That's right, it was bronze. You burst another man's skull open with a bronze hammer, or slit his throat with a bronze dagger. None of this iron or whatever. Ah, so decayed and reputitious.
No, Bone Man. Residium magic dust.
What? Are we doing drugs now? Damn it! What kind of dust are you kids and your damn drugs? Ah, can't handle it no more.
Why are there men with iron on the boat?
God. Needless to say, I'm sure you could tell that there's not going to be much.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
I'm gonna go follow them down into the hold to make sure they don't fucking steal my cannonballs.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Dirty
What was?
assholes.
Did anyone ask a question or?
Oh, I was gonna follow them for their inspection to make sure they didn't steal anything.
The soldiers are preventing you from leaving. They seem to be standing lockstep, so no one can leave.
I think.
Are we not allowed to watch your inspection of our hull?
For security reasons, we ask you to remain here, where we can properly oversee you. We don't want you suddenly turning on our men down there. As much as we know that you wouldn't do that, you are honorable and loyal citizens, especially when you're in charge of a ship like the Maraviglia. However, just with recent attacks, we cannot be too safe.
Mm-hmm.
Two man-things scared of one dragon person?
It's less that, and it's more four-man things, and two ironclads are worried about an all-out attack. After a couple of moments, the two soldiers return, mostly empty-handed. They only seem to be carrying a selection of cheeses that you may have bought from Jarvis.
The Queek makes an audible gasp.
If you will excuse us, we'll have to test a couple of these back on the ship to make sure they're not carrying any form of toxin.
Those are Queeks!
We know we don't like doing this either, but you'll need to give us a bit of time before we can let you into the port.
Queek immediately looks at Beatrice with, like, the most utmost look of panic on his face.
Will we be compensated if they come back negative?
Yes, you will be.
I bet you have to go test it with some crackers.
Don't
No.
One of the soldiers.
No
one of the
crackers.
soldiers-
Cheese only good, pure.
If you want it tested, why don't you just have the rat man eat it? Who's gotta eat their own damn poison?
Yes, yes, yes.
One of them seems to give a side glance towards before the other one of them shrugs and nods and moves to the side. And he brings forward a slice of cheese. Alright. Jesus. They step back and they wait a moment or two. And then they mutter amongst themselves.
Queek is licking his paw.
Do you eat
Very
everything
well.
with such ferocity?
Mostly just cheese.
The soldier steps forward and pays a singular gold in compensation as the two return to the lower decks to stow the cheese.
They paid you compensation for your own food, which you just ate.
Hey, poison test.
Yeah, if he dies, at least we know.
They were
At least, yeah. They were he was compensated based on worth.
Oh,
no.
damn.
Oh no.
My last trip to Flavor Town.
After a moment or two, the soldiers return, and they seem happy with the inspection, as they sort of nod. All right, we'll lower the bridge. Just make sure you're in port before we raise it again. As the four of them scoot back upstairs.
Can you explain what this bridge is? What did you mean by that?
There's looking out from the deck, from the top deck, you can see out to Fort Costock. It is currently completely seems to be some sort of wall or bridge that stops people from getting into the port at the moment. It seems to be completely blocking all entry, but after a moment or two, it seems to start lowering back into the ocean.
Wait a minute. Oh no, I forgot to ask him. Where are the whores? I need to yell. Damn it.
Yokoko, you
So-
can ask when we're in port.
I'm sure we have more important things to do.
After a moment or so, the steel wall that seems to block access to the fort itself lowers enough so you can see inside the actual Fort Costock. The ironclads seem to follow close enough that you can't really maneuver around them. You are guided into the port.
Mm.
And eventually, you are escorted off your ship into Fort Costock. Now, this might take a moment to load. It is a very big map.
You underestimate my power.
Very nice.
Wow, this is a big
There's a lot
map.
of Tonka toys.
As you enter in to Fort Costock, you notice this is the only patch of grass for miles. It seems that the rest of this area has either been completely desertified by just the crashing waves, or just you can see tire treads in the distance, and all sorts of blast and scorch marks around. This fort seems to be made of pure adamantium. It's completely impervious and impenetrable from what you can tell, save for one entrance that is being guarded by 4 different soldiers at once, all armed and ready, patrolling around the higher tower of the fort itself. You can't even see up there, but you can tell that there are a few of them up there, just marching around aimlessly, either guarding or watching or overseeing. You can't be sure. This place brings about a sense of authority, as you can tell that this whole establishment is built around steam technology. You can see great plumes of steam rising from some of the vents around the area, and after a moment or two, you can hear a great grinding as the iron walls move up and to block exit to the port now, as your ship is now stuck inside Fort Gostock along with the ironclads.
Quite the scene.
Do you think they're overdoing it?
Either way, the only thing I see this it shows that there's plenty of money in promise here.
At least with that giant gate, nobody can steal the boat.
Indeed. It's a worry I don't have to have in my mind for the moment.
You can tell it's being well looked after. The two ironclads are no longer pointing their guns at it, for one. They're pointing their guns outward in case the wall be breached.
We should go buy like some kind of like magical rudder lock for it.
You mean an anchor?
No, like something that prevents like the wheel from being turned.
Like
You mean the anchor?
like
I
a
mean, you can
movable
attract
rod.
an anchor.
True. Oh yeah, getting a movable rod as like a wheel jack.
Low tide jack
Yeah.
instead of low jack, low tide jack.
Oh, God. Either way, we have shore leave for now. If anything, be back by the end of the day. I have a few places to look around to see if we can find any work for the ship or anything of interest due to what we've recently acquired.
I think the map crashed my computer.
The potato
Not
died.
surprising.
I will say this now, like the Blackshore Isles, this is a 100 by 100 map, 425 by 25 sections, 450 by 50 sections each. So this should be a little smoother than having like 8 25 by 25s, but you never know.
Well, I'm not seeing any map. It's like the whole map. Anyway, it's just going without me because the whole thing just kind of crashed.
The potato cannot handle the power.
I know, right? It was severely bad.
Tweak will follow you, Beatrice, and he's eating a cheese wheel.
They're paranoid they're going to take it, Queek.
He nods rapidly.
I
His
don't,
mouth is full.
I don't blame you. It's a little unsettling that they would have the nerve to claim right to Residium, but the size of this fort, I can see why they would shove so much power around. And you, Mir, are you going to look around, maybe find somebody for that code?
Yeah, the coat, and I was gonna look into buying some parts for the recipe.
That's a good plan.
And the bombs.
Yeah, make copies of those. Sell them.
Well, feel free to intervene.
I can't actually move my character. Everything's just giant blackness.
It's the dark void.
Nobody else is gonna go up. I'm gonna walk in.
As you move in, these two guards look you over, read their papers, and nod, and they raise a boom gate for you.
I don't think
You
I've
can't
said
tell
that I had.
it's like here-ish, but don't worry about that.
Merm actually
raised.
never has had any visible weapons. The dagger always comes out of some random sleeve on his clothing.
Rukakul, as you walk in, you see one of the ironclad ships currently being suspended by a crane. It seems that there's a couple of mechanics on board repairing it. It seems that to have gotten in a bit of a scrap. There are a couple of holes in it, but it seems mostly sturdy.
I'll turn to the guard and say, the sailors there. One's dead. Did they get their last rites?
The mechanics look among themselves and they sort of shrug. The fate of the crew was unknown, it seems. However, you can tell that this incredibly powerful vessel is certainly taking a lot of manpower to repair.
I just kind of grunt and just kind of walk off. Don't even care for the rights of the dead. Degenerates.
As you move into the fort, you can hear the sounds of gunshots and training exercises, drills being worked on. There's hisses of steam around you, as you can tell that the mechanics of this place are very busy at work. You can hear two men seeming to command the troops from a high-up tower in the middle.
Rotgut, ever seen one of those big metal things?
What kind? The ironclads?
Yeah.
Roll me a diplomacy.
Okay.
I like how Raga's just your prisoner that you get to play 20 questions with.
I won't tell what.
Queek not have gentle touch with words.
Pook's words are like a hammer with a spike on the end.
It's the worst splitting headache he's ever had.
Beatrice,
Queek's
as
first
you.
time too. He replies.
Yeah. Beatrice, you can tell that if you were to ever get into a scrape with one of these things, the Maraviglia would be nothing but firewood by the end of the encounter.
Oh yeah.
I wonder what the pirates must have to need this much firepower.
Oh, it's not the pirates.
It's the war.
Well, whoever they're fighting.
Beatrice, as you approach, you see two men slowly descend on an elevator down from the tower. They seem to be conversing with one another.
Nazis.
I hate those guys.
I'm just kidding.
Are they wearing a lot of expensive pieces, I assume?
Oh yeah, these two are wearing brass-plated armor. They seem to be fully coated in the latest of steam technology. You're not even sure what this is. You've never seen this sort of thing before. It's advanced even for you. How-
looking pieces of plate mail that I've ever seen.
The two of them seem to be happily conversing as they exit the elevator, and one of them shakes the hand of this man over here as he proceeds to move off, leaving the other one behind.
Kind of try and keep note of how he looks.
One of them you could tell was wearing... both of them are wearing heavy gas masks. You're unsure as to why. Probably the steam and the smog of this area. You can tell that this place is a little hard to breathe in. You need to be very cautious with how you're managing even just the simple fact of moving is a bit of a chore. Such a
Queek
wide
takes
space.
Queek takes a deep breath. Queek thinks it smells fine here.
It's the smell of burning coal and burning oil and heavy steam.
Compared to sewers.
Yeah.
Oh god. I'll approach this man respectfully.
Flanked by a rat and a skeleton.
You must
Where the hood at?
You must be Captain Ultra, yes?
Indeed.
You can hear the hiss of steam coming from his backpack.
Oh god.
As you can see his eyes start to adjust. You can tell they're not human, they're mechanical. It's an honor to meet the one that now captains the Maraviglia, yes.
The honor is mine, sir. And wait for his name respectively.
My name is Commandant Asphodel, yes. You can hear the hiss of steam leaving him again as he looks the party over. I was expecting Captain Longben, but I've heard from the homeland that he's no longer with us.
Davy Jones' locker.
Yes, unfortunately he had expired at the hand of one of his previous compatriots, Rockgut.
A shame. We could have used his tactical genius in the war at the moment. Yes.
I was wondering if there's anything I could do to help, or even possible work that would help support keeping the Meraviglia into top shape.
The Commandant seems to look around and nods quietly. As you're well aware, we've entered a state of war. Yes. He takes a pause and adjusts a little dial on his coat. After a click or two, you can hear the steam escape from a hatch at the back with a loud gust. You would be surprised that the barbarians would attempt to even attack us. Yes.
Indeed, but it looks like one of your ships have suffered quite heavily from it. Though impressive, it's kind of curious as to what imposed such damage.
The Commandant seems to adjust his necktie at this. You would be surprised that we have naval dominance, yes. On land, however, the barbarians outclass us. Even with our technology, it seems that they always have a solution to our more recent inventions, yes.
So sea weapons, you're saying?
We can only manage them on the seafront, yes.
It's good to know.
But... and he gestures to you can't see it, but you can't see it currently, but he gestures back across the tower to a small hut. We have a very handy woman on board, currently fixing both the ship and the fort. Yes. He adjusts, he straightens himself out a little. You can tell that this man is priding himself and preening himself on his military authority. Her name is Black Iron, yes. She maintains most of the steel and adamantium around here, yes.
Would she permit, if we've obviously proven our handiness, that help equip the Meraviglia a little better, especially if we wish to assist you?
There comes another click from the commissar's coat, another burst of steam ejects. You'll find Black Iron is a businesswoman, yes. She has her means, yes.
I don't mean to pry too much, especially on a fresh meeting, but we do have a few interesting pieces that was left to us by the captain. One being a oddly coded map and a few other pieces. Is there anyone we can inquire as to what they are, what we can do with them, possibly?
The Commandant takes a moment or two as he adjusts the dial on his coat again. Over in the back corner, and he points towards, again, across the tower, and over in that direction. You will find the Forge Lord, and you will also find the Cartographer. Those two could probably help you more than I could, yes.
Thank you. I shouldn't take any more of your time. I can easily see you're a very busy man. Good day, Commodore.
Good day, Captain Uldra. Yes. As he turns back around, he only has to gesture once before a set of troops start climbing down the ladder and begin moving out in very organized fashion. You can tell that this place is very, very heavily guarded.
I wonder where they get all the iron for this stuff.
Probably taken from different tradesmen.
However, as the last lot of troops get off, Commandant Asphodel pauses and holds up a hand. And he moves to this soldier here, and he leans in. Where is your comrade, friend? Yes. And the soldier begins muttering indistinct as the Commandant grunts and joins the troop and starts directing them from the back.
Is there a brothel I can go arouse him out of?
There is no need for your input here, Skeleton. Yes.
Great job, Skeleton.
The small platoon of soldiers seem to disperse. Some of them moving up to the walls of the fort to keep the place to keep watch over the bay.
Wait, there's a missing soldier and y'all just cool with that? Okay, whatever.
I mean, do you want to disagree with the Commandant? He has his ways.
Fair enough, I'm just saying.
What do
Hey,
you
well,
think would
soldier.
happen if you asked him a question to which the answer was obviously no?
Well, we'll have to find out.
Either way, we should at least make ourselves scarce from this area. Let us go enjoy a bit of time on land where we can relax for the moment without worry.
Sounds good. I wonder where the flagellant pits are. I wish to see people cleansing themselves of unrighteousness.
Beatrice,
Yes.
as you move by, you can notice these great hulking machines. Unlike the servo-naut suits that you saw that the mayor had invented, these seem more heavily armored and greatly empowered by steam. They look like they could fit more than just one person inside them. These hulking machines are
It's a mecha.
real. That's just a larger version for you guys.
Wow.
Truly menacing pieces. It's amazing that the barbarians are such a difficulty for them with such amazing equipment.
Maybe they don't have enough to go around and they have to leave them all here.
That's a good point. We've only seen them in this area. Maybe they're hard-pressed and forced to stick to here. That leaves us with a nice advantage to be about and go out for them. Might be able to find someone as well who knows Jarvis.
As you guys move around the fort, you can kind of feel that you're being watched. Absolutely no one here is taking their eyes off you. Not the guards, certainly.
Very used to that.
As you walk by, you notice a large steel octagonal building. If you remember, the Commandant said this is where the Forge Lord and the Cartographer lay.
I think we should take a look at that map first.
Yeah, maybe I can find somebody to look at this coat. I want to know what it's made out of. It's very nice.
Quick, find the door.
There's 2 cheese wheels right in front of you, Queek. Don't you know?
Guards looking at those too. Queeksy. Queeksy everything.
God.
We've lost a menorah. Throw her overboard.
Ah!
As you approach the front entrance, you can see a great dwarf covered in brass armor, angrily looking over a map of the world, with a rather skeevy man by his side.
Great dwarf. Is that like a really large dwarf? It's like just a dude.
Well, no, he's. You can tell. Well, actually, just
Like a black
roll me a
dwarf.
history or a perception.
I got history.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Let me just check history. 7. Okay.
Thousands of years ago, when I had flesh.
Okay, so you can tell that this dwarf is from. He's not from around here. You're actually quite surprised that a dwarf is out here. You know for a fact that these dwarves originated in the Hills of Weeping back in the barbarian territories. However, it seems for some bizarre reason this one is not where he's supposed to be. This dwarf seems a lot more stocky and, rather muscular as he strokes his fine orange beard. He seems to be still a little miffed at this map. I'm telling you, David, he grunts, that there's no such thing as this whirlpool in the middle of the ocean. That's just poppycock. David grunts. I'm just telling you, Boat Murdered, that we have to take care of it before it gets out of hand. There's no such thing, grunts as he looks towards you, Beatrice. Oh, great. You must be the serving wench. Have you got me lunch yet?
Queek gestures to her hat.
So you got a fancy hat. Where's me booze?
Well, I definitely don't have your booze, and nor do I work here. The name is Captain Uldra. Might I ask yours?
Forge Lord grunts. Captain Schmapton. We're in the presence of the Forge Lord Boat Murdered. He stands up now. He looks quite old, but you can tell that this guy is quite powerful. He's holding what seems to be... You can't tell, but it almost looks like a cannon on his back.
It's an impressive weapon. I can see why your muscles have gotten so large.
The Forge Lord chuckles. Aye, that be true. This weapon was an invention of my great-grandpappy. He said he had the idea after he lost some battle in an explosion. Can't be got away.
Well, it sounds like a rather unique incident, but... either way, I was looking for the Forge Lord and cartographer, so obviously I found the Forge Lord, and you must be the cartographer, and point to the other.
Boat Murdered grunts. Oh yes, this worthless piece of flesh. And David just grunts. My name is High Cartographer David, and you'll have to forgive my friend's unique personality. He moves forward and extends a hand.
Reach out behind him as well.
As he shakes, you can tell this man is very cold, almost clammy. At the moment, we're dealing with a bit of a situation, but I'll help however I can.
We do have a map of interest. I was just wondering if we could get some assistance, even with some of its somewhat cryptic coding. Take it out and show it up.
The cartographer will take it and quietly move and place it between him and the Forge Lord. As they ponder over it. This just looks to be a recipe. Have you brought me your dinner menu? He grunts. Well, it is in some form of code. I can definitely agree to that. You can tell that this, despite looking like a recipe, is in fact directions. As he ponders over the map. You want to start where you can find where you're most... He sort of mumbles to himself as the Forge Lord interrupts. Oh, for Pete's sake. As he hauls off his chair and he waddles over and grabs the map immediately. I can tell you what you can do with this. He he sort of hands it back to you, Beatrice.
Mhm.
This map of yours, if it is really a map, you want to look for the simplest directions on it. As he taps the top of the page, where it says 200 cups of flour. See right here, 200 cups of flour. Makes no sense now, does it, Laz?
Indeed.
As he moves over to the map on the table, and he taps it a little bit. 200 is probably where you're going to start, so you need 200 from wherever the location began. And that would only be, and he points towards where, on the map, where the Blackshore Isles is, and towards the center of the map. 200 nautical units. There. You're looking for the center of the world. And then he looks at the map again, and he grunts, and he squints a little bit. The rest of it, this does just seem like a normal recipe. 3 eggs, 2 squid ink, 1 skull crushed. Seems like you're needing an odd selection, lass.
Indeed. I thank you for your help, though, Boat Murder. And
It's fine, but you could help me with a problem of me own. Think of it as a favor returned. He waddles back over to his chair. He taps on a small island. I'll actually show you on the actual map. He points to a small island to the southwest. See this place here? This used to be under Donnenberg's control, and now all of a sudden it's territory. He then grunts, and shifts a little bit in his chair. The reason I want you to go there is because there used to be a good supply of grade A steel. And as you can tell, keeping this place maintained is costing a fair bit of steel.
Indeed. Was there any word as to why it was no longer under your control?
He shook his head. All I heard from the commandant is that it was lost. I thought we were in trade discussions with the orcs. But if they've turned on us, well, I need you to go over there and take care of business. The High Cartographer tugs at his collar a little bit. Sir, we shouldn't send them over to be murdered like this. The orcs are very powerful indeed with their magic. And Boat Murdered waves a hand immediately. There's no such thing as magic. Just highly advanced technology. We have no idea what it is. And he'll sniff and look over at Beatrice. He'll do this for me, lass.
And if I do this successfully, what would I get in return? Other than a good hearty pat on the back.
He sniffs and points. How about one of those?
What's he pointing to?
One of the servos.
Can our boat even hold that much weight?
I was just thinking about that.
He chuckles. That there is a high protection personal suit. You could take 300 bullets from my own gun and still be left standing, somewhat. The soldiers use these for their frontline business, but I keep a couple around, just in case.
Did anybody else hear that?
Yeah.
That was the cat.
That was what?
Kitty! Kitty!
Sorry. He's fine. I don't know why he
Kitty.
meowed like that.
He's squeaking. Anyway.
It's a generous offer, but I'm not sure the Meraviglia could handle that kind of weight on her hold.
They're surprisingly light if you know how to pack them well. I'll even give you the tools for disassembling and reassembling. Even though he says such things, Beatrice, you can kind of tell that this thing would weigh down the Maraviglia, if by a fair chunk.
I'll tell you what. Pay me the equivalent cost of what it takes to make one of those, so me and my crew could have a fair share to divvy. And you also have your iron supply back for your steel.
Boat muttered, grunts. Fine. I'll give you gold. Just make sure it's done, will you? We need the steel to upkeep all of our ironclads.
I'll see what I can find, but it easily will take some time.
Boat muttered, grunts and waves his hand again. The photographer quietly nods. We understand that it'll take time. Just make sure you come back in one piece.
I assure you, we intend to.
And give it a nod. And Boat Motor then sits back a little. Is there anything more I can help you with?
Other than better equipment for purchase, I assume I would have to find black iron for that.
Black iron. He groans. He points a thumb in that direction. You're wanting the little hovel over there. You'll find that wench in there, making her cannons and keeping this fort up. Bah! Woman's touch has no place around a fort of steel, regardless of how important she claims herself to be.
You might be surprised at how important a woman's touch can be. But nonetheless, thank you for your help.
Boat muttered, nods a little bit and rubs the bridge of his nose. Just be careful. She's a tricky one.
Oh, and I am curious because I know my skeleton friend would like to know as well. Do you have any harlots in this place that he can go accompany?
Try Black Iron herself. But the cartographer shakes his head. We have no such establishments in the fort. You can understand the soldiers need their aim straight. In the Navy.
Understandable. Then do you have a place of worship where he might be able to preach purities?
You believe in gods too? Ugh. The Forge Lord rolls his eyes. Well, find yourself a corner and pray in it, I suppose. We don't keep chapels around here.
Or atheism.
Bone Man chooses like this corner. Sure, I found a corner.
Is he praying at the ale table?
Time to preach.
The table is, you can tell, carved by, you could tell a carpenter dwarf almost. It's certainly not the best, but it's certainly very high quality. It bears some insignias on it, but the booze on it is certainly highest quality.
Don't forget, you might be muted.
You best start believing you be muted.
'Cause you are.
Damn it.
Damn it.
Cool, yes. Hi.
Hi. Oh. Yep, so. Just start going off on, like, you know, the ocean's depths and the worms and the whatnot in this corner.
The Forge Lord doesn't seem to mind. He swallows it. He takes a mug of ale on his desk and begins chugging. He seems quite done with conversation, even if the cartographer is trying to pull his attention back to the map.
With the skeleton shouting in the corner.
This seems like a normal, everyday occurrence for Forge Lord. Boat murdered.
Anyways, uninterrupted by sermon, he completes it and now moves on.
Oh, we have a list then.
Do we? I wasn't really paying attention.
Do we actually need 200 cups of flour to cook something?
No. But we do need everything underneath that. I'm just curious. Either way, if there's something you wish to purchase, I suggest we go and talk to Black Iron before we see what else this fortress has.
I want to get this code identified.
Oh, she's a craftsman. She should be able to figure it out.
I mean, I could probably just... I could look at to see if it has any magic qualities if you're looking.
I mean, sure, it'll probably save us money.
Alright, so... Arcana check. No.
As far as you can tell, this is a semi-magical coat. That's about as much as you can get.
It seems to be a semi-magical assault coat. Pull the trigger once to shoot one round.
Oh, really? Where's the trigger?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna start checking in the pockets for a trigger.
Do you have permit for that?
I don't need a permit, I'm already wearing it.
He is the permit.
My face is my warrant.
Oh, God.
As you move by, you can tell the soldiers are still keeping an eye on things. You can hear yelling over in the back right corner, and then followed by gunshots, so they must be practicing drills around about this time. It's only about midday. You have some more time.
These soldiers really need a whorehouse considering how captivated they are with us.
I mean, there are 2 women here, finally.
And cheese wheels.
God. Literal and figurative.
They want
6
it.
cheese total.
They want it.
They want the
As you move inside, you can see a towering pillar of cannonballs on your left, and only one lady working on the wheel of a cannon over here.
What does she look like?
She's a very punky lass. She seems to have short hair and engineer's overalls. She seems to have a metallic hand on her right. She seems to have replaced her right hand with metal, as she seems to be tinkering and fine-tuning this prime cannon here.
Is she human?
She's human. She's definitely human. She's not like the commandant or the general. She definitely is flesh and bone, and not steam. Except for her hand, which is odd.
Excuse me, miss, are you Black Iron?
Me? Black Iron? She shakes her head. No, I'm not Black Iron at all. I'm just one of her helpers. You'll find Black Iron in that pile of cannonballs, though. She jerks a thumb. She, dropped something in there, I think. After a moment or two. The cannonballs seem to shift and roll a little bit as she pops from the top of the pile. Ooh! I can't believe I dropped my ring in there. And she hops off the pile of cannonballs. She lands pretty gracefully.
I kind of look up like a little bit shocked. A minotaur?
Not just any old minotaur, Black Iron grunts, and she sort of flexes her arm a little bit. It's now entirely, from her shoulder onward, it's completely metal. As you can tell, she's an artificer. I'm Black Iron Steelhoof. Welcome to my little corner here.
A pleasure to meet you. Forgive me, my name is Uldra, Captain Uldra.
I heard someone along those names was coming around here eventually. She rubs her nose a little bit. Reckon I could help you a little bit. She saunters around. I have a couple cannons for sale, if you need them.
I must say, they do look a very fine make. We do plan on going to Zarno.
Dwarf thing said you had other things for sale.
Well, I do have a few other things, and she rubs her chin as the cannon smith rolls her eyes. I do have a couple of ship parts that may or may not be for sale. And I can identify some magical items after that little tussle in the other place. She grunts a little bit.
Tussle?
Oh, you don't want to hear about that nonsense. She giggles to herself. Trust me, you wouldn't believe me even if I tried telling you. Anyway. So, what can I help you with today?
Yes, we're curious as to what items were for sale here, and seeing the fine cannon works here. Unfortunately, I must say we might not have enough money for it now, but...
Oh, don't worry about that. Black Iron grins, and she seems to be beaming when you start talking about her work. She wraps her arm around you, Beatrice, and begins basically dragging you.
Oh, God. Oh!
And she escorts you to this cannon over in the corner. Now this here is one of my finer works. You'll find a couple of these on the big old ironclads, but I keep a couple spare in case people need them. These little babies could punch a hole right through a shark, and the shark would say, "What hit me?"
It's quite a magnificent piece of work. I would definitely like to have that on the Meraviglia, but...
So I know you ain't exactly in the rich and famous upper crust. And Black sort of moves around, and she still gives it a tap. But I reckon that to a very nice person I could let one of these go. She drums her fingers along the edge of the cannon.
It would most definitely be appreciative, and I can definitely pay you in full once our work is done. Especially from the pay that we were promised from the boat murder.
Oh, that fellow. Steelhoof rolls her eyes a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't take too many jobs from that old coot. Man's as deaf as a dingbat. Barely pays attention to anybody around here. Not even the general or the commandant. Black Iron.
He gets away with it.
Well, he's the only one outside of me that takes care of this dang place. Black Iron sort of moves towards the wall, and you can see there's a diagram, a very large one, of the entirety of the fort. You can tell that this place has been very intricately worked out, and it seems to have been constructed in full for the most part. That old coot rocked up on the shore a couple of days ago. Well, not a couple of days ago, rather. A couple of months ago. He's important to our procedures now that the war started. If you'd believe me, I never intended this place on becoming a giant fortress of war, but that's what the people need it for, then I'm happy to provide.
This place is...
It is mine. That's it. She gives a grin and turns back around. Almost like a coin, she's flipped sides immediately. Yeah, this old place, it's been in my family for a couple of generations now.
It's very impressive. I mean, I don't mean to speak ill, but especially from what I've heard of most Minotaurs, that they mostly build up at the very best a city, not an entire Enementian fortress.
Oh. Yeah, well, some of us Minotaur types are a little bit more imaginative, and she taps her head with her metal hand. You can tell that the piece that's on her arm is incredibly detailed. You know, she's taken exquisite care of it as well. It seems to almost glimmer, even in the dim light of this cannon shop.
I know my friend is eager to find out what his, well, newly acquired coat is capable of. if you'd be willing to take a
Oh,
look
you
at
need
that.
something identified? Why didn't you say so?
Didn't
Black-Eye.
Rukakol say it was an assault coat?
It wasn't. Black-Eye moves over.
Can you help me find the trigger in this assault coat?
Black Iron takes the coat for a little while, and hums and taps her chin. This ain't an assault coat, I can tell you that much.
Aw.
I think you got your wires a little crossed. This is a glowing leather coat. Some say it can make you invisible in combat, but that's just rumor. She passes it back.
Hmm.
You have
Neat.
acquired one glowing leather coat. Glowing leather coat.
Probably would have really helped that guy if he wasn't prone 24/7.
Oops. Extra thing. Black Iron grunts and looks over at Cannonsmith Bessie, who's still working on the wheel. Can't you hurry up, girl? Can't you see we gotta get this thing ready? And Bessie just sighs and rolls her eyes. The things I do for a paycheck. Beatrice, as you look over this cannon, it's made of probably very industrial steel. So it would only last not too long, you'd reckon. You could say it would last about 10 years in proper good care. But you can tell that this thing packs a lot of punch. It's meant for quick combat and bringing about a short end to any wooden ships. You could tell it would do a little bit more damage to them than steel ships.
Well, features on a cannon make it look like it does more damage to a wooden ship than a steel ship.
It's from the actual front and shaft of the actual cannon itself. You can tell from its long and thin design, it's meant for penetrating and breaking open wood than it would be to actually puncture or dent steel like this one would be.
I just assume that most cannons do more damage to wood ships than steel ships.
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna punch a hole through steel, it probably does a really good job against something made out of wood.
It's like comparative, like hitting something with a needle compared to a pencil.
Yeah, pretty
I mean,
much.
You can't. I mean, it reminds me of stories about fucking tanks back in good old world wars, where like some of them with light enough armor, fucking shots would go straight through them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and there
sure,
was also
on one hand, maybe that does more damage, but when your explosive shell goes straight through the enemy tank instead of exploding on it.
yeah, like to put it comparatively, the cannon that's here, you could definitely tell would just chunk open. Like, it's meant to tear open steel from the width of it all. It's meant to take, like, a heavier shot than this lighter weight one is. However, this one would just only go, like, it would probably go through wood, definitely, but it wouldn't take it out as quickly as this one could. So, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I was just asking if it was easily discernible.
Yeah, you could definitely tell. If you had some minor naval knowledge, you could definitely tell that the bigger and wider the cannon, it's not exactly the better.
How much would you consider for at least a down payment on this?
Actually, there is something I wanted to discuss about. Black Iron moves back towards you. See, we're having a bit of a residium shortage. The Commandant and the General seem it fair that they can nick as much residium as they wish and shoving it back into their packs to keep themselves going. But little old Black Iron here still needs some for her lovely arm. And she stretches it and flexes it again.
Queek blurts out, "Cheese shortage too!" And he holds his cheese close.
Don't
Black.
worry, Queek. We'll make sure there's plenty of cheese on the ship as well.
They tried to take.
There's a little port nearby owned by some orcs called Zorano, you see, and they happen to have a fair chunk of residium on them. If you can find your way of smuggling some on board, I'll gladly pay you a cannon for some residium. You'll just need to deal with their leader over there. He's a bit of an odd one. He doesn't like talking to strangers that he doesn't exactly see as equal.
Which port was this again?
Zerano, that little tiny island. Here, I'll show you. She pulls out a small map. And she points in this direction. This is the same as where the Forge Lord was pointing you to take care of business. Just grab me some residium from there, and then all you'll need to do is just hide it around this side of the fort. Then I'll gladly pay you in kind.
Is there any markers that you prefer us to hide it by on that side?
I'll leave you an obvious mark. She smiles. You just don't worry your pretty little head over anything. Just go and get that residium, and I'll load you up with one of these cannons. And hey, if you do get some more steel, and a bit of coin, of course, I'll repair that ironclad out there. And, we'll see if we can't do a little swap.
Holy fuck, that's
She's
trade-in
talking
contract.
She's talking about a lot of money, though.
Yeah. I'll definitely keep
But-
that
and-
in mind.
It's not a problem. Now you just take care of yourself. I gotta help Bessie here fix this cannon, she grunts. Bessie just seems to be sheepishly smiling as she's polishing one of the axles. I told you not to use that kind of grease.
Man, the orcs must produce everything in this universe, considering that I don't know how they get their gunpowder.
Oh. Who said they had gunpowder?
I mean, I figured that was an essential element of firing a cannon.
Magic cannons.
I thought magic wasn't real, according to the dwarf.
It's the dwarf.
Yeah, well, the dwarf's a fucking moron, isn't he?
You believe in ghost stories, don't you?
'Cause you're in one. I got a bone to pick with you.
Aren't we forgetting something here, Captain?
What would that be, Rukoko?
I still haven't heard how any of this is going to help us replace those assholes over in Dobervin. That one place.
Donnenberg.
Donnenberg.
I know what it is. The Dong Town. Dong Town.
Dongers.
That's true. Perhaps we can find a name.
Well, perhaps once the supply line of iron is restored, we'll be able to see who really makes things run around here.
It's true.
Maybe. All I know is I better get that plot of land back.
Don't worry, I'll make sure you have your shop back. You'll have 3 stories this time, so you can yell at the tallest top.
Excellent.
It would have been a lot
As
better if he
you-
went, like, bought a whore, like, went to the room and then started preaching from, like, the open doorway.
Oh, God.
I paid for my time. I'll use it how I please.
As you guys are moving on, you can see over on the right is General Castor and Commandant Astel. They're taking their men through training drills, and they're firing shots into rather beefy-looking training dummies. They seem to be barking out orders as quickly as they come. They're pretty much finished.
I must say, they have rather impressive equipment.
Yeah, slovenly. It doesn't do to go bonding with such unwholesome relics of the future. Only leads to decay of the body and soul.
Either way, it doesn't look like you ever stopped to decay from the old days either.
Used
Your
in
appearance
the
is rather bare bones, to say the least.
Snap!
Spend 1,000 years at the bottom of that drink, lassie, and we'll see how full out you are.
I guess that would explain why you've never been parched before now that you've drank all those years.
Maybe that has something to do with it.
You don't have lips either, so I suppose you wouldn't have to worry about them drying out either.
No, those got nibbled off by a shark.
Only the lips?
Only the lips.
The shark must have had a light appetite that day.
I think it was an hors d'oeuvre.
I'm actually.
Where are we going?
I think back to the ship.
Yeah, I thought we were leaving.
Oh.
I will catch up with you in a moment. There's one more thing I have to ask, Boat Murder.
Dragon Ball Z teleport noises.
Suddenly appears inside.
Teleports behind you.
You don't have a license to teleport here.
The high
Try and stop me.
cartographer. The high cartographer seems to be at least resting in a chair now with a book. This boat murdered seems to have just been looking over a couple of things on the desk as he gazes up.
I'm sorry to bother you one more time, gentlemen, but I do have a reminded interest that I forgot to ask about before. Do either of you know of a man named Jarvis, or any possible traders who've dealt with such a man from Donnenberg?
The two of them exchange a glance and they sort of shrug. We've not heard of no man called Jarvis before. He seems to clean his ear a little bit with his pinky and dust it off on the table. Does he trade in liquor or something? You'd be better asking one of the generals about that question. They seem to handle the trade routes every now and then.
Thank you. I'll do so very quickly then, before they disappear for the day.
You can tell by now it's only mid-afternoon. The training drills are still going on. But you can see, you can spot out of the corner of your eye that one of the men is walking away.
Excuse me, sir. I apologize for not being formal, but I do not know your name yet. But my name is Captain Ultra of the Maraviglia. I was hoping to ask you a question about some of the people who do trade in these parts. One man in particular who seems to have a rather lucrative dealing in trade for Donnenberg. His name goes by the name of Jarvis.
After you speak this information, the man seems strangely quiet. He just keeps his eyes focused on you. And for a moment, there's only a small hiss before he rolls his neck a little.
Yes, Jarvis. I know the man. Whatever do you want to know about that individual?
I was just curious if I could assist in the trade.
There's no need to assist in the trade, Captain Ultra. I can assure you, Jarvis has our complete confidence.
So I assume then that his man is under your directive then?
No, that would be incorrect. He has no men. He personally comes to make deals. We simply supply him.
That's good to know. I just want to see if there was any way I could assist in bringing supplies supplies quicker, seeing how 2 ships would be better than 1, but I can understand.
Castor holds up a hand, interrupting you.
There is one other ship at the moment. Her name is the Superbia. Find her. You'll probably find better work there than here.
As a hiss of steam leaves his mask.
I suggest you do that quickly. It's getting late.
Duly noted. Thank you for your time.
Castor doesn't even give you a response of farewell. He simply keeps his eye on you and then keeps moving.
Is that a threat, Commandant?
Right.
Make my way back to the ship.
I'll just gather you guys up a little bit.
Hadouken!
Phew.
Is that a threat, Master Commandant?
As you prepare to leave, the boom gate is lowered. It is lowered once more, and you can see the wall that was blocking your ship from leaving slowly falling again as you're let back out into the ocean again. Well, from here on in, you're free to move as you wish.
Well, in consideration of where we're supposed to be heading, we could go straight there. Not much
Right.
else to be considered. Though there is the other question of the other ship that we should take interest in. If any of you see from over the sides a ship by the name of Superbia, please let me know so we can at least keep track of who looks.
Superbia, got it.
So, are you sailing to Zorano?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2.
Not to worry, we're still driving half a boat.
As you move through the ocean, it suddenly gets dark.
I turn the light back on.
God damn it, who turned off the generator?
1. Someone roll me a perception.
That won't be me. I know for a fact you have much better perception than me.
I believe me and Queek are tied for the top.
Should be.
Except that I also give him a +2 bonus if he's close by, so...
Well, you're on the ship together, so I assume unless Queek is in the crow's nest.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's a 5 square range, so... Just standing at, like...
Well, as you sail on by, you notice an odd pattern in the water. And then, after a moment or two of looking through the spyglass, you notice a wrecked vessel off the shore. Do you wish to investigate this ship, or do you want to leave it be? It is quite dark at the moment.
Queek will call out down below for the captain. Captain!
What do you see, Queek?
Ship wrecked off the coast. Maybe treasure?
Hands on deck. We're taking a stop.
Ah, yeah, Andrew, that's been my beauty sleep.
Queek starts sliding down the mast.
Well, as I'll let you guys handle this at your own pace. So, tell me what you want to do. Are you going to explore the ship?
Yes.
I imagine we take a rowboat straight to the wreck.
Yeah, we're not gonna get close to way anchor and
Okay.
obviously since it's coasted, we're not gonna do that.
I would like one of you to, or all of you actually, I would like you to roll a perception again.
Are we, like, on our rowboat now?
Yeah, you're on your rowboat, you're carrying the light with you.
Yeah,
pretty hard to
everyone will
see.
have my +2 then.
So, as you approach, you can tell that this ship, it's a very unfortunate but very common tale of what happens in the water. As you approach, you can tell that the ship is not actually wrecked, it's abandoned. There are only skeletons aboard and half-rotted corpses. It seems that they either starved to death or thirsted to death. and
Bone
drifted.
Man, Anyone you know?
Nah, just a bunch of young whippersnappers. I haven't been dead a century.
Not even at the bottom of the drink either.
I know. Shameful.
Interesting they drowned a couple feet from land.
It's not that they drowned a couple feet from land. You can actually tell just beyond this is a very peculiar swamp. It seems to grow dark mahogany trees and all sorts of odd mushrooms and fungus. It seems that they crashed upon the saltiest of shores.
Saltiest of shores. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, be cautious.
What do we want to do here, Captain?
Check their holds. Check the captain's journal.
Very well. I'll go
Take
down
any
to the
extra sails that aren't torn.
I'll hand Rukako a sunrod. I guess you don't really need to breathe, so you're probably the best person for the job.
Makes sense. I'll crack the sunrod and go down.
It is uncomfortably bright if you don't remember. It's like 20 squares of bright light.
Is the hold flooded?
Yes. Most of the ship is flooded. It seems to have crashed upon some of the trees of the shore and broken into the waterlogged hull. So
I'll go into the down below the waterline then. See what's down there.
roll me a perception at +5 from the sun rod,
Okay.
and then roll me 2 1d10s.
This one, and then...
Random goodies.
The sharks are coming back for your liver.
No, no, no! You already got my lips.
Okay, so the one more d10.
Oh, just two D10s?
Three
D10s?
1d10s.
Okay.
It's the first time down. It's rather murky, but you can, thanks to the sun rod that you've been given, you can clearly explore the hull of the ship. There's only one other noticeable crew member. They're tied to the actual mooring of the ship. They seem to have been skeletonized, and most of their bones have become bleached from being in the water for so long.
Wait, they were tied down here?
Yes, they were left down here. They seem to be missing an arm, and you can only expect the worst.
Hmm.
After another moment, you find the captain's log. It is currently incredibly damaged due to the water logging. You find 70 gold in one of the chests, and you find 2 cannonballs.
Nice. Well, I'm going to recover the captain's log first, and hold on. I think I might have some rituals that can help with this.
Queek, roll me a perception again. Just quickly. Okay. Sadly, the most you find is corpses, and more corpses. A few of them are missing arms or legs. One of them, the biggest skeleton of the lot, seems to have multiple extra bones inside their rib cage and around their sternum, and you can only assume that this crew resorted to mad cannibalism to survive. You find at most about 50 gold and maybe a cannonball and a sail.
Okay.
But the rest of the ship is absolutely trashed. There's nothing really left here.
Okay,
Do our cannons require gunpowder?
Yes.
Yes they do, however your hold has enough gunpowder to last for your cannon shots.
Just curious.
Every cannon seems to be supplied, every cannonball is supplied with enough power to fire it. I'm not gonna dick you over by making you buy cannonballs and gunpowder.
And packing, and...
Yeah.
You need packing for cannons? I always figured you didn't.
No, you definitely
no,
need
you
packing for cannonballs.
You absolutely do. I'm not gonna bother you with that sort of thing, though.
All primitive firearms before the spiral barrel fucking and self-sealed ammunition is needed packing.
Yeah, I know that. I know that about muskets and stuff. I never really thought about cannons themselves.
Oh yeah. There are 3.
So, Rukagul, you said you had a ritual?
yeah, it's the Amanusian ritual.
What?
Hold on.
You kind of broke up a little.
I have no idea how to pronounce this. It's like this second ritual on the list.
Type it out. Probably the weirdest spelling in the world.
Must be a mistranslation or something.
Oh boy. It's gonna take a minute. And I really, really wish you could just copy paste from the builder.
Mm. That's why I have 2 screens, boyo.
Well, that would be nice, but my computer does not do that.
Yeah, he's running on a Mac and
Well,
potato.
I'm a news.
Wow,
I'm
that
a
is
news.
fucking tongue twister. Ammonisis.
I'm a news.
Basically, what it
Ammonisis.
lets me do is take writing from one book and perfectly transcribe it to another.
Oh, okay, sure.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of this ritual, but it's very useful.
That's awesome.
Do you have to roll anything for it, or is it just a ritual?
A monuments.
There's no check.
Yeah,
You
there's
just-
no check associated with it.
You have
Okay.
to pay 10 GP.
Well, 10 GP is absorbed by the higher powers as a great hand from heaven absorbs 10 GP from your pocket.
Jarvis!
Anyway, you now have a perfectly copied captain's log. No longer
Okay.
waterlogged.
I hand it over to the captain, to our captain.
I'll start reading over it and see if there's any log of what happened before everyone necrofied.
The tale is written about 10, 20 years ago, and it details a voyage of this ship. Sadly, the name is in a foreign tongue, so you can't quite pronounce it. Something along the lines of the Steinriefel. And the Steinriefel had a quest to go to the center of the world, where they encountered a black ship with red sails. And after encountering it, they were allowed passage to the northern waters back before this war began to get food and water. But after sailing a couple of days, they only found themselves continually bumping back into the black ship and red sails. They kept doing this no matter which direction they sailed, no matter what course they went. They were trapped at the center of the world. Eventually, they began to run out of food and water, and despite trying to contact the other ship, it seems that no one was aboard, or that indeed it was haunted. No matter what they tried, they struggled in vain. One of the crewmen went insane and had to be tied under the actual deck of the ship, and to be forced to stay despite his insane ramblings about being trapped at the center, at God's navel, as he called it. Eventually, it starts to descend into madness as they begin to see all sorts of abominations and horrors, and eventually, there's nothing on the page except the world is ending.
Did it say that they ate the mushrooms in the swamp?
No. It seems that they died before they even got to the swamp. There's no even mention of the swamp that they're in.
Back.
Welcome back. You just missed
Back
it.
to the
You know.
past.
I just missed what?
Oh, my God.
You missed the explanation of why this ship is here.
They were.
Oh,
You know
that's
the
okay. Queek wasn't paying attention.
To just make you sure you catch up on speed, Ken. Have you ever had a dream where you try and escape somewhere, but always find yourself in the same exact place?
Sure.
Yeah, that's basically what happened to them at the center of the world.
Like the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, no matter where they sailed, they were always in the center, continually meeting a black ship with red sails. So yeah, there is nothing left on the ship for you to pilfer. Except the bones. Really.
Unless there's anywhere else that you would like to check. It seems that these people had gone completely mad. We should head back. The only fortunate that we seem to have collected was the sail and at least an extra shot.
As you depart, do you wish to set the boat on fire?
I mean, sure. Setting stuff on fire is fun.
Well, you would do it in respect of the dead.
Yeah, might as well.
Queek can do it. Queek just throw lit. Never mind.
I guess I'll do it.
Lightning bolt. Lightning breath.
You can lightning bolt the ship.
Lightning bolt.
As you strike the ship with lightning, you see it catch ablaze. You can almost hear whispers of thanks as the ship crackles and pops and fades into ash over the swamp. Do you wish to continue?
Would we sleep at all? I feel like
Yeah.
we should
You
sleep.
can sleep. It's pretty late.
We're
It's
not
about
far
midnight
off the
right
coast.
now.
We'll stay anchored and
Watch the blaze.
Unlimited power.
bed down.
Well, if anything, it's rather peaceful around these shores. In the distance, you can see the waters of rebirth. Some say that the waters that feed into the swamp, despite how salty they are, some say that these are the tears of gods that can bring even the long dead back to life. They flow into the ocean and give life to all things that have died or will die, and gives them new purpose, new life. It's very serene around here. You can hear the croaking of frogs and the hoots of owls.
And the slow roasting of sailors' souls as they burn.
Well, you're freeing them
Watch
from
out here.
you're freeing them from eternal salty damnation. So it's less that they're,
It's a Viking
Pain.
funeral.
yeah, it's a Viking funeral. That's what you give them.
A much less glorified Viking funeral. This is like a Viking funeral from Cost Plus.
Costco Viking funeral.
Andrew, do you need a sleep?
No, I'm good.
I meant your character.
No, I'm good.
Okay, you're good. Well, what do you do
Well,
all
I
night?
guess the undead says you're considered both living creature, so I don't have to eat, drink, or breathe. But I guess I could still sleep.
What's that feat called? Because I want to just make sure.
Let's see. Let's go to the bill. That's a bit more comprehensive. Come on, stop.
3
crashing.
pizzas and 2 sides delivered for $35. Holy shit! Nice. Thanks, Domino's. DM.
Yeah, Merm gets on the phone. I'd like to order a pizza.
Can I get a boneless pizza?
Yeah, can I go and find our steam-powered telephone.
Sadly, it has not been invented yet.
I don't get that. What's with the boneless pizza thing?
It's a meme.
The
Okay.
videos.
It's a meme that the kiddos spout. So, what are we all doing tonight?
I guess I'll go keep watch first, because we kind of are in the swamp of damnation. I don't really think we should all go to sleep.
No.
Well, it's less a swamp of damnation and more just the swamp of. It's created due to the fact that the salt water of the ocean is mixing in with the fresh water of the Hill of Rebirth, Waters of
Okay.
Rebirth, rather.
So it doesn't say anything about not needing to sleep. It's called Death's Blessing, the Revenant class. That's a racial.
Eternally woke.
He's woke as AF.
Ken, never do that again, or I'm gonna maim you. You're not a kid anymore.
You can do it,
gee.
Peter. You can do
I'm
it.
not that old. Fuck.
How many times are we gonna tell you this, old man?
But you no longer need to eat, drink, or breathe, so you never need to make endurance checks to resist the effects of starvation, thirst, and suffocation. You are no longer considered a living creature.
Well, I mean, undead don't need to sleep, so I would take that as you don't need to sleep.
Jim?
Yeah, it's probably just like the typical thing for like everybody else doesn't need to sleep. You have to like sort of rest for 4 hours, like not really doing anything strenuous to get an
Well,
extended
you're a
rest.
cleric, right?
Yes.
Some clerics need a little bit of rest to concentrate spells.
Yeah,
So.
that's a good point. So what are we going with, 4 hours?
You can sleep for as long as you want. It's midnight now. Sun will be up in about 6, so you can get a good night's rest.
So, before going to bed, I'm just gonna enjoy the shore and make myself a small smorgasbord and disturb Queek if he were ever to see it as a mixture of meat, fruit, and cheese with the nice glass of wine from the one I took from Rotgut's lair.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take some of the alcohol that we bought back at Donnenberg, and I'm gonna go sit up on deck and keep watch. For at least part of the night.
Mm. Well, it's a very uneventful and quiet night. You're a bit too close to shore for any of the big bastards of the deep to come and disturb you guys. But it's pleasant, you know. This area is actually quite nice, despite the fact that there was a wrecked ship on the shores. Just a further warning of what awaits you in the center, but you don't know that.
So do you want to go tramping through the swamp?
Not yet. So, Mo, how do you find yourself in Donnenberg anyway?
Who are you saying that to?
Yeah,
Merm.
I don't know. It's been a while. I roamed around a lot. Kind of got lost a couple of times.
You seem too
I'm on
smart
a-
for that.
What?
You seem too smart for that.
I was mostly Ken was trying to talk.
I was just gonna say I'm on a quest for unlimited power.
God.
But I was just kidding.
Jeez, oh no! Jeez, we...
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't really care where you're going.
Oh, I guess that's just some of us then.
What about you? Isn't it weird to be the captain of a crew of people you've just met?
Especially this crew.
I could definitely say you've been the most unique group of people I've traveled with. A silent, devilish-looking woman. A rat man obsessed with his cheese. A preacher skeleton and a electrically charged throwing dragonborn.
And you have a whip.
Indeed. It's definitely the most unique crew I've ever been with. Though, well, I have to say, definitely one of the strangest as well. The other ones I've sailed with were not as desirable. But at least they still had a better standing of morals than many of the people you've met in these towns so far.
Yeah, we really should do something about Jarvis.
I intend to. I have quite amount of disdain for what he was doing from what I saw. Either way, I'm not very partial to bullying in the way of trade and other deems of such trade. Having such a hold on innocent people is rather distasteful, disreputable, disgusting.
If we wiped out all the orcs, I wonder if they could just go to that island instead.
Definitely something to consider. We could maybe pack up most people in the Merviglia when they do that. My only concern would be if the Superbia would come after us at the same time because of Jarvis's jealousy. We would still need to consider and also figure out what the Superbia even has and how fast she can travel. Either way, we have quite a long ways to go. I'll bed down for the night. Don't let Rukokul preach you to death.
His stories are always so interesting, though. I've never heard a man talk about getting his own lips ripped off.
I'm sure he was dreaming and trying to kiss a maiden in his sleep when a shark decided to eat them.
The skeleton is agitated.
Either way, good night, Moon.
Good night, Captain.
How do you know that dream was a nightmare? An ending nightmare of water and sharks and worms.
Rukakul, come tell me about how you lost your feet.
Oh, I'll tell you, each toe was taken by an octopus. One octopus was per toe. Oh, the tentacles. Have you ever seen the beak of an octopus nibble on your little toe? I thought not.
Do your bones regenerate, or do they only take the flesh?
They only took the flesh.
Wow, you were fortunate they didn't try to bite the bones off.
Ah, yes. It's like when my bones were walking over the sand of the old Nigerian temples. Oh, how those pyramids rose into the sky. Oh, no, that was probably actually a long time ago. Never mind that. The tentacles with the octopuses wrapping around your feet and just squirming. Have you ever seen how small a hole an octopus can get into?
I can't say I'm that familiar with an octopus.
I'll tell you, I'm pretty familiar. See, check my toes.
Only the toes.
Oh, wait, the toes. Most everything else was gone by then.
Alright. So,
Cross off that body part. I'm going to ask you about how you lost every part of your body.
The tale of the disassembly.
as morning approaches, everyone has gotten a nice night's sleep. You can't you have a feeling that the ship is a little bit stuck, but after giving the anchor a couple of good tugs, you eventually pull away from the muddy shoreline, and you're back on the water again. So, do you still wish to make your way to Zorano?
I don't see why not.
Yep. Make way. Plenty of day before us. Quick, get out of the cheese cabinet already.
Just getting snack for later.
I imagine the cheese cabinet is just his whole room.
I know you already have an extra wheel up there.
As you sail by Maiden, you encounter another completely abandoned derelict ship. It's docked in the port of this town.
Fire the cannons! No, I'm just kidding.
You would know well that this place, Maiden, is another one of the orc strongholds. You could tell that you don't want to stop here. This place is heavily fortified, and they don't seem like they're accepting visitors at the moment.
They also don't accept Republic credits.
Credits will do fine.
As you sail into the port of Zorano, it's a very nice and quiet village. And I'll just here for now. So you've made land. You're just waiting for someone to come and greet you. At the moment, there's not a lot. Just seem to be a couple of natives roaming around.
So just to recap, we are sent here to track down a missing shipment.
You're here to look up as to why they've stopped sending iron, and you're also here to track down Residium.
Okay.
So you've been told you can either just go in and start blasting the place up on Boat Murder's orders, or you can try and make an arrangement on Black Iron's orders.
I would personally say that if we're an equal match, we might as well kill them all. But I mean, aside from that, negotiating a trade agreement is probably going to be the most efficient, considering they probably both need things from each other.
I'm just gonna gather you guys up here.
Do they look peaceful, or are they just meandering around?
They're looking at you a little cautiously. Eventually, you make dock, and you're brought to Zorano. So, just give me a minute, and I'll give you guys some music to listen to get you in the mood.
Mood lighting.
Because fuck this stupid radio thing.
It works really well. Do you want me to tell you how to make it work?
You know, at this point, I just don't care. Anyway, as you make it into this town, a few of the people, actually most of them, scurry back into their tents. The most you can see in the center of the town is what seems to be a large dryad in a very old brass cage. She seems trapped.
Despite all her rage, she just seems to be a dryad in a cage.
Wonder if Orc Thing's going to save her for later for a snack, like Queek does with cheese.
Is she like the same size as the cage?
She's pretty much crammed in there.
Whoa, she's big.
Then that
Yeah.
implies that they didn't make the cage specifically for her.
Despite the land, though, she's there, but the land is dry and barren. You can tell that no crops would be growing here at all. This place is just dust, despite the dryad in the center.
Curious.
What we do, Captain?
It doesn't look like it was much of a hostile takeover, considering all the orcs are here.
You can cruise as you wish. I'll tell you when to hold up.
Probably go to,
Sorry.
go to look at the caged woman out of interest.
I'm gonna go look for the locks on the cage.
Hang on, you might actually need light because this place is.
It's pretty bright for me.
Global.
In fact, there is
There
no
you go,
shadows.
sorry.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a bug. As you approach, the Dryad only looks up. She doesn't seem to say much.
Does that mean she says something, or are you just implying it doesn't seem like she talks much because she doesn't seem like she wants to talk?
Second option.
Okay.
She just sort of looks at you over. She seems rather glum about her captivity.
How long ago were you put in there?
She shrugs and she sort of runs her fingers along the bars. After about a minute, She eventually stops running her fingers over. 500 years.
Ah, I know the feeling. You've been trapped in a place for thousands of years. Have the worm gnawed you, and the fish gulp your eyeballs down.
Oh, Rukakul. She smiles. You finally returned from the depths.
Do I know you? Been a long time.
You once did. I was one of the servants back at your home. Or at least, once was.
I'll take your word for it.
His memory not so good anymore. Fish ate it all.
To be fair, mine's no good either.
So what did you do at my place? Oh, whose place was it?
Don't fret too much about it, Rukakul. It's just good to see that you're fine.
Ah, I suppose.
Yeah, the Dryad seems to look around. As you can tell, I wasn't always like this. However, there was a strange Minotaur lass. She came into these lands and planted a seed and told me to look after it after buying my services. After that, well, here I am.
That was 500 years ago, you say?
Yes. I've become part of whatever she planted, though.
Right, so you weren't always a tree?
Of course not.
Ah. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yes, I suppose. You can hear a bit of shuffling in the nearby tents as a large orc strolls out. What seems to be the problem here?
As long as a tree, I'd say that's a problem.
That old thing. You leave her be. Speaks nonsense.
Do you put everybody that speaks nonsense in a cage, or is she special?
She's providing us food and water.
In exchange for?
Her life? We just extract it now and then, don't we?
The Dryad looks away.
A rather curious case, but we did come on intentions to find out as to why the iron had stopped being shipped out from here.
Why would we want to ship you lot iron? You may not have heard, but this town's now under orc establishment.
Indeed, we've heard so. Have you no interest in trade for better weapons or even money?
You tell me what weapon's better than an orc-crafted weapon now, lass, and maybe we'll start talking trade.
Dwarf crafted weapon. Dwarf crafted weapon.
Dwarves? Ha! And how many of them are left after the Hills of Weeping collapsed? Dwarves are an extinct species, practically.
Well, there is one still working. It's a fine shop at Fort Caustic.
Yeah, I've heard of the man. Boat murdered. He grunts. Look, if you want to talk trade, you don't talk with me. I'm just the one that makes the weapons. Food hut's over there, and the chieftain's tent's over there. If you want to go speak with the mystics or whatever, they're over in that tent.
The mystics or whatever.
He doesn't seem too interested in conversing with you guys.
Uh-oh. Cole's gone.
Now, what was your name again?
My name... who, the Dryad or
Dryad.
I can't remember, sadly.
Okay, I'll call you Tina.
That's fine.
We'll figure this out, Tina. Don't worry.
She can't exactly eat the cheese, but she accepts it gratefully.
Queek does not realize that at all. He just leaves a piece of cheese there.
What a depressing giant woman.
So, Captain,
Yeah.
you want to just kill all these bastards then?
Holy shit. Genocide?
First, let's find out a little bit more of what happened here, but
Fine.
prefer not to leave your friend either. If case comes to case, then yes, we can have your fun.
It appears we need to found a new island, considering how many assholes seem to exist in this universe.
We haven't exactly found an island that has any good people on it, have we?
Yeah, so if we just kill all the people on one of the island, then we can begin to fix it.
I mean, the Steam one was only half
Then we can-
assholes.
Then we can transpose the people from Dornenberg to here.
You know, I figure if we go ahead and steal the Dryad woman, that takes all that food and water, and then they gotta come to the negotiating table.
That does bring a good point.
You can tell the smithy's watching the cage intently.
Queek taps the side of Bone Man's skull, and it's obviously sounding hollow. And Queek says, "Maybe fish not eat all Bone Man's brains."
I wish. No, they were quite thorough. And then the worms came and got what they missed.
The fact is a lie.
Either way, let us.
Hooey.
I'll go talk to the mystic. I'm sure me and him will get along just fine. But I'd point out all his degenerate faith and why he's a heretic and all that.
Captain.
You follow him along, Queek, and let me know how that goes. I think we should go speak with the others before the chief and at least get a better understanding of this location.
Hey, I heard you're the one who worships the god around here.
Rukakul Queek, when you enter the hut, you can see large residium crystals sitting on your right, of all different colors and sizes. Some sharp, some blunted, some rounded.
Somebody
some
say robbery?
carved.
Ooh, shiny things.
As you look around, this place is in a bit of disarray. There are several tomes and books scattered across the floor, of all sorts of different religious and occult and even some sorcery. You can tell that the shaman in this hut is not paying you much attention, as the apprentice is rummaging through the book pile.
Hey, you don't look like an orc.
Sorry?
You're obviously a human. What the hell are you doing with a bunch of orcs?
This is my home.
That's no
Why?
excuse.
Why?
This is a racially pure island.
What the fuck? Why shaman make you show cheese wheels?
It's to bring me closer to nature. It's to bring me closer to the dryad spirit that we have captured here.
Nature, I'll tell you about nature. Nature's fish and worms gnawing at the bone night and day in the bottom of the drink for 1,000 years.
This, Rukakul, this will be against your will.
Oh, shit.
Hold on.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hello
let's
there.
see here.
That should not hit your will.
Yeah, no, not even close.
The apprentice seems to be looking around awkwardly. She seems to have accidentally She seems to have tripped one of the magical scrolls. Nothing exactly happens, it just sort of poofs. But you can tell she's a bit concerned with the ranting man in here.
I suggest you be more effective the next time you attack a man with magic.
I wasn't attacking you with magic, I tripped on a scroll.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
He sounds like a crazy paranoid military general.
Anyways, the point is, Quick, what did we come in here for again?
Queek doesn't know. Captain ordered Queek to follow Bone Man.
Oh yeah, that's right. We wanted to talk to you about the Dryad thing. Like, why are we keeping her in a cage when everything else is desert and stuff? if you want to worship her, shouldn't you like let her be free and stuff to spread nature and all that hippie horse shit?
We cannot let the Dryad go.
Doesn't seem she's going anywhere. She's pretty rooted in the ground.
She can leave whenever she wishes, if we let her free. The cage is meant to draw upon her powers to bring life back to the land. Sadly, it's not gone so well so far.
Yeah, don't say.
We're getting there, though. You can see these crystals are at least helping the atmosphere somewhat.
No, I can't see that. They seem to be lying here in a big old pile of, I don't know, glowingness with a bunch of scattered books. Do you even know how to read, child?
I know how to read. The shaman taught me so.
Really? Really? Here, I pick up a book and throw it to her. Read me that.
This will be against your will.
God.
I don't know why he's attacking him so fervently. All he's doing is just being assertive.
No, he asked her to read the book, so she's reading the book.
Reading fucking
Nope.
fucking scrolls of spells and shit. Doesn't even look at it. Just picks it up.
She's just an apprentice. She's just rummaging through this stuff, and she reads the book. It's a bedtime story.
That
You can
tried to
tell that-
target your will.
Yeah, you could tell that some of these books were from Zorano before it was taken over by the orcs. Some of them seem a little bit too fancy to be simple tribal books.
The point being, if you're gonna want to revive the land, I think you're gonna have to switch up your tactics.
Tactics? I don't know what you mean.
I mean the way you go about things. Try and be at least a little bit effective.
Our
Yes, Squeak.
Queek want crystals. He'll point.
Oh yeah, crystals, that's right. We came here to get radium trade going. Or uranium.
There's Zidium. Yes.
Zenium.
Uranium.
The lifeblood of magic that is brought from the hills of Weeping. We cannot trade until the chieftain allows us to.
What does the chieftain need to get us to start trading?
You best speak with him first.
Oh, fine.
We are unsure.
Well, you have a lovely day, man. Also, your weird friend over there. Bye.
Goodbye. Beatrice, as you approach this tent, you see a masked woman quietly stirring this barrel and adding some ingredients in. You can tell that this is the kitchen tent, as you spot a couple of different tribes people cooking and cleaning and stirring.
Does it look like they have animals around here, or does this look like they kind of brought stuff in fresh from today?
They've got fresh stuff as well as some older things nearby. It's clear that they have some form of game around these parts, and they also may get some form of trade from the orc capital. Do you wish to approach any of them, or are you just watching?
Just watching for the moment, just curiously.
After a moment or two, the woman stands away from the barrel and closes the lid and begins lighting fire from her fingertips under each of the barrels. And after a moment or two, you can hear a great bubbling and a churning and a creaking and a groaning. And eventually she moves over to the distillery over here and holds out a tankard and soon begins filling up some mugs. This is clearly a brewery. Moonshine.
There's not much point in bothering a lot of the cooks, from what I see.
They're looking at you quizzically, but they seem to have their orders and priorities straight. They seem to be paying more attention to making dinner than they are to you.
I kind of watch while listening to Queek give me all the rundown of what happened. I suppose we should go see if the chief has any reasoning or sensibility. Quick, find the entrance.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
hang on. Is it? Okay. For some. Okay, stop. Actually, stop. Everybody, stop. Okay, stop. This is a weird bug with this map. The dynamic lighting, for some bizarre reason, is completely flipped around.
Oh.
Entrance is on the other side.
Yeah,
I found it by
because
teleporting.
yeah, it's just give me a moment and I'll see if I can't fix it.
Cue DBZ noises.
Yeah, I fire my Gallic gun at the tent and obliterate it.
There you are.
Ah!
Okay, now it should be okay. Sorry about that. Entrance should be back here, I think. Hang on, let me see. Wow, okay, it's not fixed. So you know what?
Just go around the other side. There's an entrance over there.
No, stop! Don't go around the other side, please don't. Just give me 1 second, and I'll just.
Quick, drag us through. Quick. What do you see?
Yeah, I'll just.
What's
do it.
your rat eyes see, Queek?
There you are. Now there shouldn't be any light. So yeah, there you are.
Wall was just illusion.
As you enter, you can see a massive throne with a very big, powerful orc chieftain watching over his two sets of tribesmen. The females are all on one table down here, and all the males are on the other table. It seems that the males are eating whatever's left, and the females are patiently waiting. He himself
Segregated
hasn't.
dining.
He himself doesn't look like he's eaten yet.
Interesting.
Whoop.
I'm gonna stick to the right side, which seems to be meant for the women.
The chieftain passes a cautioned glance over at you as a lot of the tribals stop eating and just all focus eyes on you.
Awkward.
I'll take a slight bow. Good evening. My name is Beatrice Aldra, captain of the Meraviglia. I've come out of interest from Kostak to discuss as to why trade and shipments have stopped leaving the island, and if there was anything of interest that might continue them.
Xerxes rises from his throne, and some of the feasting tribals quickly scurry out of the way to make way for him. He's a very large man, but it's all muscle. He's just a powerhouse. You could tell that this guy could probably flatten the ship if he punched it. You've come from Fort Kostok? He grunts. So they've sent me the scraps of Donnenberg to deal in trade affairs. I'm not impressed.
I must admit, though, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you are quite impressive yourself. Sir.
He raises a hand. There is no sir here. I am Chieftain Xerxes. This is Zerano. As for your impressiveness, there is no need to apologize for it. Some are just born more worthy in the world than others.
Some are more equal than others.
But regardless, he strolls over to you. He's very imposing. This man is probably about 8 to 9 foot high. He's covered in thick metal armor. That would probably crush you if you were to wear it. Your scale mail probably doesn't even compare.
God. literally just as he approaches, like lean back a little to look up at him. Like,
as for why the supplies have stopped, it's because I've been given an order from the actual Orc capital to stop trading for the meantime. This nonsense war that they're running with the barbarians in the north means that it is unsafe for our people to continue working on the magical pursuits.
magical.
You may or may not be aware of the situation involving magic, as he gestures to the tribespeople to keep eating, regardless of the conversation he's having with you. But this world is slowly running out of magic. You may not have noticed, but more and more we're having less residium, less fire, less thunder. The world is growing with more water, but less land. We, the Orc people, have decided that it is in our best interest to keep magic alive, despite our less than magical inclination. As he pulls out a pipe and seems to light it from a fire at his fingertips.
Damn.
Tell me, so-called captain, why bother to come here on Fort Costock's behalf? Why not Fort Costock themselves?
Because they themselves are busied with the barbarians from the north.
Of course. They spend no time thinking of how their little civilization is running, that they're so busy trying to prove how strong they are. Takes a deep breath of his pipe. It's actually quite fragrant. It's clearly not ordinary tobacco.
Marijuana.
Pipe weed. He does seem very lax, but you can definitely tell it's not pipe weed. It's not hemp.
It's a special mixer.
Tell me, why, of anyone, would lowly little pirates such as yourselves bother with coming to Zerano just to secure metal? I'm assuming that's what you're after.
Yes, and a bit of interest in a few other things, but mostly on the trade of coin, and to line our pockets a little bit better, but also to see, out of curiosity, of what happened here.
I can tell you what happened here. Once we had an agreement with the Allegiance. They provided us some level of comfort, and we provided them with the essentials: residium, coal, metal, that sort of thing. Eventually, we needed room to expand, and Zerano was the only place that'd be willing to trade us. However, we wanted Myerden more than we wanted this place. But, as you can see, we've been landed with the short end of the stick. Once the war began, all trade deals were off. It was no longer safe for us to go and live in Myerden, and certainly we couldn't stay in the Orc capital with the barbarians to the north and Fort Costock to the south. So, we took over the village. We didn't kill anybody. We sent them on their way back through to Fort Costock and on towards brighter destinies. We've only kept certain aspects of them here. The shaman, for example, and the brewmeister are both originally descendants of those who lived in Zerano before the Orcs took over.
And Myodin's not under any of your other compatriots' control, then...
Myodin is an interesting case. He pauses. I don't think I can speak of it here, though.
Would you be willing to speak in private?
There's only private if there's one of you. However, it's not important. Come, sit, eat, drink, be merry. I will provide you with enough comfort as needed, and then, after I see how strong you are against our patented alcohol, we'll talk trade agreement.
Queek, very strong. Mightiest warlord.
Beatrice, as Xerxes turns around and begins moving, you notice that there's one part of him that isn't covered by metal or armor, and that's his back. His upper back seems to be covered in a variety of whip marks that you would know would be specifically from a cat o' nine tails. As he sits, as he sits back on his throne, he claps his hands, and some of the females leave, and a couple of the men trail off as well. They seem like
What
they're
about the
going-
children, though?
They're in
the
the kitchen being cooked.
That's the interesting thing. Despite all the men and women here, there are no children, it seems.
Men, the women, even the children. The orcs are sand people, confirmed.
So, as you sit at these tables, you can tell that the chieftain is easily keeping an eye on both of you, as he patiently waits as a set of as three women and the brewmeister you saw before come in and begin serving up plates of food for each of you. Queek, you receive cheese, a large selection of cheese. It's not exactly the most refined, but it certainly looks very tasty. You receive a nice handing of a steak. It seems medium rare, well cooked, with a smattering of gravy. Rukakul, you are given milk.
What?
Milk for your bones.
Oh, I drink the milk. It just literally goes right through the jaw.
Minora, you're given a fine selection of elven food, so breads of varieties and certainly different kinds of herbs and leafage that would be tasty
she's
to your
an elf?
palate, I think.
So she was a tiefling.
Oh,
I can't tell from the image because I'm fucking blind as shit.
I think to be fair, I thought Razzie was an elf as well. Razzie, have you ever not played a tiefling?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're a tiefling, she instead feeds you a selection of roasted chicken with some
What a
lettuce.
racially accepting society this is.
You can tell that this place is actually quite nice. A lot of the orc tribals seem to be getting along well with the half-orc tribals, and most of the humans seem to be respected here. Beatrice,
Gets a big
oddly,
bowl of sausage.
Oh, dear
The
God.
orc captain raises his eyebrows in your direction.
I've seen you have scars too.
Beatrice, you're handed, most oddly, the plate seems to be... It seems to be some meal of potatoes. It seems very simple and common on the surface, but after a bit of looking, you can tell that there's also venison mixed in as well. Seems to be some very high-class meal here.
That's probably
Something
really
that-
rare around here.
Yeah. You can tell that this is probably an incredibly expensive dish, and clearly the chieftain has at least prepared, or they've prepared for your arrivals. As the brewmeister then serves Queek, and Rukakul a tankard of moonshine, and the same with Minora and Beatrice. They serve up the moonshine. The other tribals seem to get their food from the other tribal ladies that were serving in the kitchen from earlier. Chieftain himself still hasn't eaten yet.
Interesting.
I will be eager to try their moonshine.
Oh boy. Alrighty.
Yeah, I'll take a sniff of it. How bad does it smell out of 10?
One sniff and you're pretty sure your nostrils almost melted.
Oh.
You're like
Yeah,
80% certain this is probably just pure poison. Pure,
Probably
like,
just
liver
paint
poison.
thinner.
It's pure liver cancer, probably.
I'll raise a glass in respect to the chief and give a head nod and slug it back anyway for a nice healthy gulp. Don't insult don't insult hospitality.
This will be verse your fortitude.
Holy shit.
Wait, what?
That's not a mistake.
Excuse me?
I immediately die on the table.
No, as you take a sip, you can tell that this is the strongest thing that you've had in your existence. Your mouth burns like fire, as you can tell that this beverage of whatever it's made of, it's clearly not meant for humans such as yourself. It's way too powerful and potent. But after a moment or two, you have a nice fruity aftertaste and everything's a bit fuzzier. So you're now drunk.
Whew, that is a very nice punch. I haven't hit like that in years.
After seeing her do that, I'm going to take mine in very, very, very small sips without breathing in through the nose.
This will be versus your fortitude. No.
Yeah, no. First, I'd like to make a bluff check to make it look like I'm drinking a lot more than I actually am.
Go ahead. Okay, no, you definitely fool the others, and they just see you chugging this down without problem, and they all raise a glass to you. They seem to pat you on the back, hailing you like a real orc, but in reality you're just taking baby sips of this absolutely mouth-destroying liquid.
Mm-hmm.
You are now drunk.
Yeah, I figured I wouldn't be able to avoid that.
Yeah.
Orc shine.
Yep, orc moonshine.
But no, you have to try this.
I have to say, you have some very good taste in alcohol.
Oh,
Yeah,
I have shit con. I feel I should be a lightweight.
yeah.
Everything's a bit spinny. Why are there three of the chieftain?
He wasn't kidding about his magical
Orc
prowess.
tribes, you know.
There's 3 of them now.
I'll mark you two as drunk for the time being.
He's fast.
Sorry, what was that, Rosie?
I said, you know, orc tribes. There's probably always been 3 chieftains.
It's a council, probably, right?
So as Queek's drinking it, he's also going to raise the mug up to Rotgut and have Rotgut take a drink too.
It pours over Rotgut's skull, and
what
stains
does
it
he
slightly.
say? What does he say?
You don't hear much, Queek. It seems that he's sleeping.
I pour some more down his throat anyway.
Knocked out cold from the orc shine. He couldn't handle it. He has no body. It's all skull.
Oh, great.
He's totally
He has
smashed.
no liver. You need to stuff a liver in that skull for him to be able to drink.
Queek starts laughing. And why do they call you Rotgut if you can't handle it?
Oh god. Queek, do you attempt to drink some of the orc moonshine?
Yeah. Definitely.
Thankfully, due to your cast iron stomach, you won't get... Well, you'll get drunk, but certainly for not as long.
Mhm.
When you take a sip of this, it reminds you of some of the sewer water back in Donnenberg. It's
hits
probably
the spot.
It's refreshing and familiar, but after a moment or two, you can definitely tell that you're piss fucking drunk. You've just gone off. You can tell because everything is a little bit less sensible. Rotgut seems to be talking a little bit more now.
Okay.
Minora, do you want to take a sip of the Orc
No.
Moonshine? No?
No. Let these idiots stew in their drink.
Everyone, all the females on the table seem to be looking at you expectantly. Some of them are already on their second or third glass.
Good for them.
They'll look at you curiously, of course, but they can understand if some don't enjoy the same tastes.
Some don't have liver cancer, like desires.
Some don't have livers.
The orcs probably don't have a liver.
No, I mean, bone man.
I go to drink it and it just falls right out the jar again.
Even though you drink it, I want you to roll me a fortitude. No, not fortitude. I want you to roll me an endurance.
I mean, it literally has no way to interact with my biology, but okay.
It could be burning your flesh. Or, sorry,
have to
not
Look
flesh.
at your bones.
Your bones.
Okay, I have a 2. Yep. Okay.
Rukakul, one of your rib bones decides that it cannot take this anymore and rots.
That one was always the weakest.
You are not drunk, though. You cannot be drunk. But still, it's polite to have drunk. The chieftain seems to chuckle to himself and clap a little bit. I see that you're not as milquetoast as the ones back in the fort.
I don't think any of them actually know what a drink is back there.
Except for the dwarf.
No, I suppose not. He looks towards the servers and he waves them off as they move back to the food tent. He carefully considers what he wants to say. He seems to be deep in thought after a moment or two. Well, I suppose I can't just leave you empty-handed. Tell me, what did you want to trade again?
We do have interest in the iron for the continuation. What? Oh no, I was going to get to the Residium.
Yeah, just remember you're a teensy bit drunk. And by teensy, you're literally feeling the spin.
Oh yeah.
So, you might want to make a diplomacy at a -5.
Oh, fuck me.
If that puts your diplomacy at 0, then just roll a flat 1d20 plus 1.
Oh god.
I will attempt to save if you fail too hard.
Oh.
So, stammer out your need.
I kind of take a moment to catch my breath from the drink. That's very potent. I do require some iron ores, if you have any, for the steelworks, but I also do have a much more desirable need, as you seem to have said you prefer to keep magic alive. There is a few in the fort who would like Residium to continue magic of their own desire.
Xerxes seems to nod quietly. Of course, they would probably need the steel for their great warships and the Residium. Well, I'm not sure what they would want with that. I suppose in a way I'm pleased that they're trying to keep magic alive in their own way.
Yes, there's a very thick and strong-looking Minotaur woman who seemed to be very knowledgeable with what she was doing and very unique.
Xerxes seems to raise an eyebrow. Minotaur, you said.
Yes, she's very thick. Very.
Exactly as I feared.
He seems to pause and he seems to keep in thought for a little while. I'll consider the offer. Of course, I expect Fort Kostock will have trade in return.
I'm sure they would. There's been a fair amount of interest, and I'm sure they would be eager to lend an ear, especially since you have the supplies they require. That maybe you can get some plants, livestock, or even extra water from them, I would imagine.
The thing about Fort Kostock is they have nothing that interests us, outside of one peculiarity.
What might that be?
Xerxes stands up and moves across. That dryad in the center of town is a mad woman. She seems to have... just 1 second, guys.
I met her online at an online dating site.
She seems to have gone completely insane. She won't stop talking about having my children.
I tried to hit it,
Sorry.
but she wouldn't quit it.
Sorry about that. Xerxes clears his throat. The dryad in town is a mad woman. She's lost her intellect from being kept in this cage for 500 years. We, of course, only inherited her from the previous residents, but as you can see, she's made the land bitter and infertile.
So
We
this
cannot grow crops while she remains here.
So you want us to take her?
Putting it like this, there's only one place I know of where you could put her to end her misery. Back where you come from, Donnenberg, there is a lake. I've heard there that it has special properties. Leave her there, and when you return, perhaps I'll consider giving up some residium. And Fort Kostock can trade me back for their steel supply.
It sounds
We
like
have them. Sorry, go on.
sounds like a reasonable bargain. To take your plight and put it where it should belong, and your lands return fertile.
I can only hope. Xerxes seems to adjust himself. I assume you'll be spending the night here, considering what our water does to you.
Water? What the fuck?
If you prefer, we can stay on our ship, just so everyone's at a more peaceful at ease.
Of course. Take your time returning. We wouldn't want you to fall into the water now.
No, we wouldn't.
Xerxes assists you up out of your chair and pats you on the back. You can tell that this man could probably throw you onto the ship from this distance.
Oh,
He'll go around, of course, and help the others up out of their seats. Whoever needs it, whoever's drunk.
Thank you.
when he assists me up, he probably would see some of the scars that are like on just on her shoulders and such.
Alright, as you leave the tent, Everything's a little wobbly. The world seems a little unstable.
Stabilize, stabilize.
Minora, I need you. Please. I just kind of.
Alright.
Suck the alcohol from my wounds.
I put like just one hand on her shoulder, just like.
Dracula don't suck. It's scrape and lick. La, 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 la. Scrape and lick. La, 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 la.
I literally stuck my head through the flap of the tent on the mystic and go, ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha.
Oh God.
What is he laughing about? As you pass by, the dryad seems to have fallen asleep.
She still have the cheese?
Yeah, she still has cheese. She seems to have attempted to eat it.
Queek runs into the cage.
You find you can't really roll me in athletics.
I think he means that he like bumps into it because he's drunk.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't want to go in.
sorry.
there.
I thought you were trying to get inside the cage, and I'm like, that's a pretty tight gap to be getting in. So, you twang against the cage. The dryad.
I
seems
hit
to
it
shift
from the
initially.
back. Correction. No, I'm just kidding.
You feel her wood.
Oh God.
Oh shit! I run.
Wait, it's a trap! Run!
What, you thought all this lumber was just for show?
It's a trap.
I guess she's really mourning wood.
All right. I'll just move you guys onto the ship now. Don't worry. I'll take care of it from here.
Where did the three Xerxes go?
As you get back onto your ship, the rocking is only made worse. And the sea is knocking you about a little bit. It's a little bit hard to keep balanced and concentrated.
Oh, this is as bad as the time I tried to Captain Spice.
For those of you,
Spice.
for those of you who are wanting to rest off their drunkenness, get to the rooms and give me an endurance or a constitution. Endurance or
I think I'll sit
constitution.
up on deck.
I'm gonna lay down and hug the statue to my chest. Just try and stabilize myself. Oh God.
So, you're just gonna stay on the side of the deck.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up on deck and go vomit out my insides first.
All right. Give me an endurance and then a constitution, or an endurance or a constitution. Well, either one.
Thank you for Minora. I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Wow, what a
Beatrice,
hero.
Beatrice, despite the incredible rocking sensations and swirling, you at least get to sleep peacefully. Oh, Mum. Since
The
you don't
bluff
need
works.
alcohol. Yeah, thankfully you're careful and cautious drinking, despite the absolute power that drink has. You managed to get yourself back on track without so much as even slipping once. So you're back to normal, but you can still taste the fruity tang at the back of your mouth. You're no longer drunk.
Woo!
Party animal.
Natural 20. Means I can just
Queek.
pound more 40s.
Yeah.
Endurance then con.
2 rolls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rock
And-
Got by on a nat 20. So, is that a endurance and then it's a
Yeah,
con?
that's endurance. And then what do you mean con?
Constitution roll?
I'll check.
Yeah, it's just a constitution check, sorry.
Just D20 plus con?
Yeah,
Con mod, not half level or anything?
we'll go with that, yeah. That's fine.
Alright, well.
You fare slightly poorer, sadly. Queek, all that cheese you ate, it's bubbling up
Didn't
a
mix
little
well.
bit. No,
It wasn't
you
the drink
don't.
that got him. It was the cheese.
Yeah, you
Poetic justice.
you
Fucking irony.
you don't feel so good, and after a little while during the night, you'll suffer 1d10 poison damage. I'll roll that for you. So take 7 poison damage.
Alright.
Some strong alcohol.
He created a battery acid in his stomach with cheese.
You now are hungover, so you take a -2 to hit all day. Can you remember? I'll make sure that's noted. So hungover. All right. So Minora, Rukakul, the only two of you that could have drunk, but either chose not to in Minora's case, or was unaffected despite a rib rotting out. In Rukakul's case, are you doing anything during the night, or are you just watching over your ailed crewmates?
Probably.
Nah, fuck them.
giving
They brought
them
it on
lectures-
themselves.
Probably giving them stern lectures on the morality of not intoxicating yourself and remaining clear-headed.
Read them their last rites.
I'll throw a pillow at Rukakul when he tries to preach at me.
Roll a ranged basic.
Pillow attack. Yeah.
Nope.
it just bounces off Rukakul's head.
No critical pillow kill.
If you got a nat 20 on that, I would have just...
Knockout.
You threw the statue instead, and it's cleared off Rukakul's head.
Oh no, that's the last of his hair.
You say if you had been sober, that would have had an effect.
Rukakul, how did you lose your hair? Oh, the fish didn't eat this. This is male pattern baldness.
Dearie me. Well, at least night's turning into day at this point. You can tell that eventually the rocking eases and sea calms, and you're all now well rested. In the morning, you have to take a bit of time to find your sea legs again. Everything feels a little bit wonky and shoddy. Beatrice, you didn't have the best of nights, neither did you, Queek, but Mum, you're a champion amongst mortals.
Oh.
I had one quick vomit and I was good to go.
I need to bear all of that stuff. Oh.
Hey, maybe we should put it in our water supply.
Oh. I just steady myself in the doorframe.
Well, let's go get that triad tree. Creek, what you need, bro? My skull's up here.
My skull's up here.
Queek, have pain. Bone Man fix.
Oh. I guess I'll cast a healing word.
Sure, you can try. I guess it would kind of work. Does it affect poison? Does it cure poison or?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, unless it's a dot, he just took damage.
Yeah, he
Even
only
if it
took
is a
damage.
dot, he just took damage.
Yeah. He's only got hungover at the moment, so he's suffering a -2 to hit.
I'm
That's about
trying to
it.
cure that though, because that's horrible.
Okay. You can definitely roll like a heal check, or
I'm
Give me
asking
another-
Bowman to heal me.
okay.
I need healing.
I need healing.
Genji.
Oh, this comes with a 9. Nice.
Urukul, can you heal? Can you do something along those lines,
Heal
like
check.
healing? Yeah. Okay. You give him a nice mixture of salt water and whatever you found at the bottom of the hole that kind of looked like coffee grinds, but could have just been gunpowder. You make Queek wash out the last of the alcohol and snap him awake. You are no longer hungover, Queek.
That tasted good, Bone Man. Thank you.
Are you all ready? Come on, we've wasted enough time. We have a long day of selling ahead of us.
Not all of us can be never sleeping skeletons.
Yes, you can if you put your heart into it.
I'd like my girls, thank you.
It's been 1,000 years.
My
of the
girls,
thing.
fuck off.
Okay.
So what's our mission right now?
Get the
Your mission at the moment is to move the Dryad from the Orc capital, from the Orc village of Zorano back to Lake Shalia.
Did we just fall into an Animal Crossing game?
Nope.
Person wants thing done, so you go and talk to other person. Oh, in order to do that, you need this camera. I already loaned it to a friend, though. You go to that friend, and they're like, oh yeah, I loaned that camera to the other neighbor.
This is a bit of a fetch quest at the moment, but it'll prove worthwhile.
We are making very powerful allies. And also very useful
Mm.
ones.
As you return to the village, a little more or less stable than last night,
Keep my composure as best I can.
you can tell a couple of people in the village have gathered around the cage. It seems not everybody is too pleased with letting the Dryad go, but Xerxes seems to be asserting himself.
We are ready to receive your shipment.
Of course. You are well enough to take her, I assume.
More so than you think.
I'm at least fine enough. Can we buy some of that alcohol for the road?
You'll need to talk with the brewmeister for that. She keeps the barrels.
Alright.
Yeah. Well, if
You
you
can
want to
buy-
do that while we settle these things here.
Mum, I'll just take you to her.
Yes,
If you want.
take me to her, then they may continue their negotiations.
Take me to your brewer.
Chieftain nods a little. Well, I can't say that everybody is exactly too pleased with my decision. He takes a moment and looks at the others. The shaman seems particularly irritated. They don't seem to want to speak with any of you. They're more focused on the Dryad at the moment. The apprentice certainly looks a little disdained. The smith seems happy though. As such, I have decided that it would only be wise for me to accompany you until this transaction is completed.
God. How the fuck are we gonna fit him on the boat?
Well,
Excellent.
it's the
So
first
you can
time.
hear about why your people are in danger of falling into degeneracy? I have many things to tell you about that. Also worms and fish.
And our custom has 3,000 different ways of assembling bones to make them into decorative pieces. Would you prefer that?
No, I got all my bones I need, but suppose you can do whatever you want with yours.
He takes no notice of the bone man after that point, and he instead taps on the cage. And
Until this journey is completed, the Dryad will be under my watch. I'll make sure that nothing terrible happens to any of you on the way there.
How are you making that sound so ominous?
As you know, many ships from the north have decided that this is a perfect time to be in the middle of a battle or a war. So, moving back and forth between town to town can be dangerous.
Indeed. All the more reason we should be more cautious but swift, so that we don't put you in danger and you can return to your people as quick as you can.
Of course. Doruk, you are in charge until I return. The smithy grunts. I'll try and keep everything under work. He seems to move up towards the main stand where they're cooking their moonshine. The shaman seems to speak in an odd tongue, and none of you can really understand, and the chieftain seems to reply in kind. The cage lifts and allows the Dryad free passage.
I'm not there right now. Quick, could somebody please bring up how this orc is going to fit anywhere on our boat? I don't think our boat is built to accommodate Goliaths. No offense, he's a very impressive specimen.
Well, most boats do have hold loaders, which double open grates.
He can sleep in the brig.
Yeah.
It's like they're a leader. I'd expect him to want better accommodations than sleeping on deck.
He'll bring a sleeping bag.
He doesn't seem to carry much. He's only carrying his what seems to be war gear at the moment.
I have a gut feeling he's used to sleeping on a hard surface like I am.
The chieftain will then begin to escort the Dryad in chains.
Put me in chains.
I'll cast
Are we going?
one last glance towards this girl.
What exactly are the chains for again?
To keep her moving, of course.
Hey, Gina, just gotta take you to the lake. It's for us.
Okay, Rukako.
See? That easy. Call her Tina and she does what you want.
As you look towards her, she only seems to be scurrying about behind the shaman. She's an apprentice of sorts. She's only wearing a very threadbare bearskin coat. It doesn't seem to cover anything. You can tell that she's human enough, but it's clear that she's adapted to the tribal ways a lot faster than a few of the others. The shaman, you can tell, is an orc of kinds, but you can't tell from the mask that she's wearing.
Very covered.
So, let me get this straight. You've been apprenticed here for how long?
Rukako, the career manager.
I've been working under Cholala for at least 8 years of my life.
And so you've been here 8 years and you can't see you needed to release the druid, like I said after being here for 8 minutes.
Excuse me?
Remember our whole conversation yesterday about letting the druid go to go heal the land and whatnot?
Yes?
And you said, no, we can't do that.
Well, Cholala is against the idea of moving the Dryad, but there's not much we can do against the chieftain's wishes.
Huh. Okay then.
Fuck, man. Oh, my God.
I'll just move you guys together again, so I can transport you with ease.
The arrow hit the orc water, though.
Merm,
Yes, I'm here to buy alcohol.
the brewmaster looks at you curiously. She seems to be speaking in an odd tongue.
Do you speak common? I ask in common.
She quietly shakes her head. She seems to understand gestures, at least.
I try Draconic.
It's a little bit more on point. She seems to half understand some of the words. It's like you're speaking a very broken version of Orcish.
Alright, I pull out a bag of gold and I pull out a tankard. I point the bag. I hold the bag of gold, point a finger from that hand towards the tankard.
She pushes the gold back in your hand and gets you a tankard of orc moonshine.
And then I point at the barrel.
She pauses and recounts the gold. After about 3 seconds, she rolls over. She slides one of the barrels in your direction and takes about 20 gold.
Okay.
You now have orc water.
Orc fire water, very good.
I give her a bow.
She
About the most
bows
universal sign of respect that I can give.
She bows politely back, as you now have one barrel and one tankard of orc moonshine.
One for home and one to go.
I would not recommend drinking this at night.
It explodes.
Might glow in the dark.
Probably. It's probably incredibly radioactive, but you don't have a Geiger counter, you can't tell that. Anyway, so I'll move you back towards the others, unless you want to shoot over there.
I have
yourself.
no other goals here.
Alright. Alright, just gonna take these two. Alright. As you move back onto the boat, it's a little bit more cramped now than you remember with the Orc Chieftain and the Dryad aboard. Dryad seems to stay near the front of the ship. The Orc Chieftain seems to just keep in the hallway. It's a very fine ship.
Thank you. It is more recently acquired, but she's quite the beauty.
Very well. We sail for Donnenberg and Lake Shalia. I will keep myself near the front of the ship with the Dryad.
Very well. Be sure
No,
to keep sailing through the night so we can make haste.
No funny business now. If even one of you thinks of trying to destroy the Dryad or myself, this ship will be put to a very hasty end.
Why would we try to do either of those things?
We could be psychotic. We could be with ISIS.
As he moves back, make sure that the Dryad is relatively safe.
Tina! Tina!
As Rukakul charges forth, Allahu Akbar!
He tears open his rib cage to reveal it's been replaced with C4.
Those ribs? No. Sticks of TNT.
As you make your way back to the world map here.
Alright. We make haste.
As you begin to sail, you go by Mayaden again, and it's still dead quiet. The derelict ship is still in its docks, and it's still preventing entry.
It's a very disturbing city. Not even a sound.
As we said, Mayaden went dead quiet on both sides. No one goes in and no one comes out. So you keep sailing.
I hope it's not like the other stories I've heard.
As you sail past back onto the coast, night turns into day once more.
So you mean that the other way around? Day turns into night.
Well, day turns into... You know what I meant.
Yeah.
You said night turns into day once more than everything got dark.
Opposite day.
Yeah, it's opposite day.
Didn't you know? Get the memo?
We orcs always believe in opposite day.
Do you wish to rest or keep sailing?
Keep sailing.
Of course.
And we also return the orc all the way back. It's a hell of a round trip he's making for himself with people that he's barely just met.
Listen,
Well, it's an
he heard
orcish
there's
sign
a
of
whorehouse
trust.
at Donnenberg. He hasn't been able to get much action.
Yeah, he hasn't. The orc women have too big of teeth. You can't really get that.
He also heard there's a really big fucking spider lady that he could really get, in there.
I fear for the safety of any whore this guy has sex with.
Probably break their
that
leg.
shit. Be like having sex with Superman.
Day 2 out in the ocean. And it's now night again. Do you wish to do you wish to stop for the night, or do you wish to keep sailing?
I think we made good headway. We should weigh anchor for the night. Don't fatigue ourselves.
I don't think that's how shipping works, but okay. Well,
Basically, Rukoko, you watch the helm. Keep watch.
I'll stay up
As
with
you all-
him for a little while.
As you all begin to go back to your room for a bit of sleep during the night, everything seems relatively quiet. Nothing seems to honestly throw you off course. It's been a peaceful couple of days despite the incredible amounts of war that you know would be happening to the north. You can only imagine what it must be like with those big ironclads by your side, firing away. However, tonight is just another peaceful evening. Waves rock against the ship. It's almost as if, for a moment, the world is still peaceful. Who's doing what during the night?
I guess I'm on the helm.
Yeah, I was gonna stay out with Rukako for a little while, considering nobody else seems to also want to keep watch. For at least the first couple hours.
When there's a quiet moment, and it's just mostly the chieftain down below, I'd go have a brief discussion with him.
The chief seems somewhat talkative. He only really recounts tales. He recounts some tales of what it was like when he was just a warrior fighting alongside his brothers back in the York capital. It's enthralling to hear his tales. He's clearly a very seasoned warrior.
Have you, in your travels, heard of the Duvlan estate?
He pauses and takes a deep breath. A name all too familiar with a few orcs. Why?
I've been meaning to make my way back there to repay some more.
Of course. That would be to the north, is it not?
Yes, they've taken quite the selection of unwilling people.
Business is business, and that business is murky and foul. No orc would willingly go into such servitude, and no orc would force servitude onto others.
Unless you're a dryad.
These are very equal rights orcs.
I would show
Everyone's
the,
very-
the brand on my arm that I've crossed over with my own.
Xerxes takes a moment to examine it, and then he rolls up his right sleeve and shows you the same brand, except it's been quite thoroughly cut out of him. It's clear that instead of burning it, he took the harder path and even cut out some of the muscle to remove it. We all have our little battles, Captain. But the wisest part is knowing when to stay and fight, and when to let them be spared and live with the humiliation.
Indeed.
Chieftain he doesn't seem too tired, despite it being a while. He hasn't quite gotten his sleep yet. He's more or less just making sure the Dryad is safe, secure, and that everything seems to be going to plan. Yet he's laid out a very makeshift bed out of very basic lamb's wool and cotton. He seems to have just set himself a place to sleep near the front of the ship.
Maybe in the future, when the time is right and we know each other better, we might pay a visit to that location and give our rightful respects.
Of course, I would like nothing more. For you, Rukakul, and it takes you a moment or two until you notice something very peculiar. You kind of notice that there's a ship sailing by. It seems quite fast and a little bigger than your own.
I sound the alarm.
As you sound the whistle, you can only you can see that this ship seems pause and weigh anchor itself. You can see on the side of the ship a great sign in painted gold reading Superbia.
Alright. Bro, what
Yeah, I'm gonna go down below deck. Go get everybody. The Superbia's outside.
What? And quickly run up to the top deck.
The chieftain will follow suit, of course. He leaves the Dryad and just downstairs. As he moves upstairs and has a look for himself. This towering vessel sails by. It's far, larger than the Maraviglia by an incredible margin. It's almost as if it's carrying large crates of cargo of unknown varieties. It seems to have stopped, and while you can't identify any weapons on it, you could tell that this thing beats you in sheer speed. It's an impressive vessel nonetheless. Do you wish to make contact with the Superbia?
I think that's the captain's realm of decision.
Is there anyone on her decks, or just...
There's a few sailors and a couple of soldiers you would note from Fort Kostock on the ship at the moment.
I'd definitely try my con. Hail! Is that the Superbia I've so heard about?
You spot a very familiar face, and he doesn't seem too pleased to see you. Why, yes, it is. This is my ship, the Superbia.
Motherfucker.
Jarvis is beaming his smile from the bow.
It's like a searchlight.
After a moment or two, you spot a few of the windows on the side of the ship beginning to open.
Oh shit.
You see, I can't let you continue on this little voyage. You've caused my business enough trouble. And I can't have you running around trying to out me out of Donnenberg, now can I?
Oh, God. Well, aren't you just afraid of having your pride a little besmirched and marked?
Besmirched and marked. How funny coming from a group of slaves and pirates.
I don't think we can technically be defined as pirates yet,
I
mister.
I don't think any of us have ever committed any form of piracy.
I think we're more freelance sailors, actually.
Well, whatever you are, it won't matter. Before long, you will be soon excluded from Fort Kostock and Donnenberg. You see, I've made a few arrangements. He seems to stroll across the deck, as you can see a few lines of cannons rolling toward the window.
I'd take
You
that
see-
as a
yeah.
threat.
Yeah, he's clearly intimidating you guys. If you don't succumb to my orders, I'll have the Maraviglia blown into smithereens. Rather nasty business, but after you've caused me such trouble, I can't help but stop you before you get anywhere.
How have we caused you any trouble?
When you bought from that little apothecary, you've caused quite the stir in the crowd. Captain Whiteblade seems to no longer want to be any part of my little conglomerate here, so I've made sure that she won't get in the way. Oh, and the apothecary. You don't need her either. I've made sure that they're safe, don't you fret now. But needless to say, I can't let you back to Donnenberg.
So what you're saying is if we kill you right here, there is no downside.
If you can kill me.
How many people do you have on that boat, mister?
50.
Hey, Captain. I'm saying this is kind of a low talk. We do have the Orc Chieftain on board. I bet he can't defend against all of us on deck.
You have a point.
Queek looks to the captain holding the deck cannon.
Queek, I want you to roll me a perception, actually.
Okay.
God. I kind of give a glance at the chieftain as well and give a nod.
Queek, you notice that Jarvis, on his belt loop, is a very familiar lantern.
The lantern.
Oh, it's on.
Queek grows wide-eyed as he recognizes his really shitty lantern.
Jedi scum.
Does
But
these-
I'll still look to the captain for the order. I'm not gonna do anything without her orders.
Does the chieftain look at the ready as well?
He doesn't even seem like he's threatened. He just looks he just looks at the ship and sniffs. He doesn't seem impressed.
Jarvis, I must say there's one thing. As much as you intimidate, and your ship is impressive, I don't quake under your boot heel.
I'm gonna go get a chain cannonball to destroy his sails.
And
Doesn't matter how fast you are.
how far apart is the ships? Like,
I'd say you're within yelling distance from one another. It's clear that at least the tides are you're able to speak with one another, at least at the top of your voice. But you know, if you fired a shot at this distance, there'd probably be a fair bit of blast back as well.
distance of feet.
Distance in feet, I'd say you're about 35 feet apart.
Because
At this range, as I said, at this range, if you tried to fire, you would be suffering from blast back,
All right.
which would knock you off course just by a bit.
if he doesn't have any sails, we can just. His speed no longer matters.
True, but he outguns you by a fair margin.
Not if he doesn't
You see,
have
but as
sails.
long as he can't run away, we just all jump overboard and just go climb into his boat and beat the shit out of him.
At this point, I'll draw my whip.
Mhm.
Good night, Jarvis. Enjoy having your pride destroyed. And I'll step up onto the railing, and I'm gonna activate my boots. Swift stride.
Oh no.
Fire! And launch over and jump onto his ship.
Really?
Yep.
Swift stride boots. Fuck yeah.
Holy shit.
So, fuck.
I think that's we're gonna have to end it for tonight, though.
Okay. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good
Oh, good night.
Yeah, he's. Oh, God.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Oh, this is good. God.
I'm waiting for him to be some kind of omniscient demon man.
Trust me, you'll learn a fair bit about Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're gonna learn what his insides look like first.
I'm sure it's gonna be yellow.
Josh,
Oh, it's
specifically, what are those boots called?
Damn it. Wait. Oh, fuck, 35 feet. I might not be able to do that. I'll probably have to use a rope or something. But
you
Swift
might-
pad boots. You jump
so-
a number of squares equal to your strength modifier, which would be 4.
So you get 20 feet, but you might be able to like whip like a rope or something on their ship and maybe swing down, maybe?
That's what I'm thinking.
I hope
I'll
so,
allow
because
you
you
to
just
do
jumped off.
Yeah.
Fucking
I'll let it pass. I'll let it pass for
Okay,
now.
cool.
It's a bit of a cool scene.
It is a
Thank
cool
you.
scene.
Thank you.
And
Uh,
right as she's like swinging through the air, a cannonball is gonna go flying past her.
Yeah.
A chain cannonball, because I went and got one, because fuck their sails.
Oh, it's on.
yeah, chain cannonballs, I'll dictate if you're aiming for the sails, do an extra d10 damage.
Oh, yeah. Those shits were made to rip sails, man. That's
Cool.
fucking amazing.
If you can land and hit Jarvis on the first turn, I'll give you a fate point.
Oh, fuck yes,
Shit.
man. It's on! It's on! Oh!
All you need to do is either hit or whip Jarvis as you get on his ship.
Fucking drag his ass off the ship. Throw him in the ocean. Oh, God. See how long those guys last without a captain. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I wonder if you actually saw the giant orc captain on deck.
I probably did, but with a 50-man crew, he's probably arrogant as fuck.
Yeah, he's quite confident.
I wonder how his crew likes smoke inhalation.
I mean, most of his crew just seem to be soldiers from Fort Costock, which is quite odd. Perhaps they're just extra muscle.
Or maybe they're just all dressed like them to make it look representable.
Either way, fuck that general, because I know that guy's friends with this dude. I'm gonna fuck with him real hard.
Hey Josh, how do you end up the captain of every single campaign involving any kind of ship in existence?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to dictate this now. Out of